What's up, everybody? We're back. Episode 18, the P&A Cast podcast.
Our podcast is legal.
What?
What?
Legal?
It's 18.
Oh,
What are we talking about today?
Jesus, dog. You fucking creeping on little kids.
What?
Little 18-year-olds?
How's that
I respect
kids?
that. I respect that. We talked about...
I know you've dated your fair share. I know you do. Don't try to put this on me.
I'm trying to change the subject real quick.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about... What game did we talk about today, Dalton?
A little bit of a recap after the Dota 2 Internationals. Not too much, because I know people are probably tired of me talking about it. But listen, it was a big deal, okay? Next, we talked about Divinity Original Sin, which apparently is one of the best RPGs of our generation.
Just picture like a really, really good Halo game.
No.
Like a multiplayer game.
No.
What is that called? And then just like swap it as an MMORPG.
It's
and then that's Divinity too. Like a really, really good game, like Halo, but different style and everything. Pretty much almost on par with Halo. That's all I'm going to say.
None of what you said is correct.
And then we talked a lot about MMA. A bunch of MMA shit.
A lot of MMA. This is a very MMA-filled episode. We even have a little bit of an interview.
Oh, yeah. Our first guest ever on the podcast.
Right. So we'll talk about UFC 228, make our picks, Nick and I. Who we think is going to win between Tyron and Till.
Yeah, we did our traditional 5 fights, made our shot bets, and then we also talked about Nick Diaz's return, health update with Max Holloway, a few other little tangents and shit that we went on, and then we had the fucking interview.
Yep, we were joined by Coylvie from the MMA Reaction Podcast. He and we go into very in-depth shit involved with MMA, like steroid uses, whether or not it's ethical. What else?
A bunch of shit. We just had a conversation on MMA.
He gave us a lot of in-depth insight that maybe you don't get because Nick is actually a dummy when it comes to most things in general.
Ouch.
Mm-hmm.
Hurt my soul right there.
Targeted the weak spot.
Well, let us know what you guys like. You can find Ecoy on the MMA Reaction on Instagram, Spotify, Google Play, all that shit. And I'm sure he shouts himself out at the end of the podcast too. So if you like him, make sure you tune in.
Yep, stay tuned.
All right. And then like 20 minutes in the shower. So that's like an hour and 20
Your showers
right
are definitely at least 40 minutes. You're at least in the bathroom for 40 minutes.
It's a shit and shower combo, bro. Whew. That's what I want to say. I love Eminem. Whew. I cannot believe, like, I woke up.
Are we recording?
Yes. I woke up this morning and I seen the Venom trailer, or like Eminem shared this thing on his Instagram, and it's Venom. It's like, knock, knock, let the devil in. I was like, oh, dope. He made a new song. I'm going to listen to it when I get to work. So then I get to work, and I'm like, oh, yeah, Eminem. Because I was seeing shit on Eminem. And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, no way. Then I went on Spotify, typed in Eminem, and I said, boom, Kamikaze, 13 songs. I was like, oh, my God.
Wow.
My whole day just changed.
Flipped it right upside
The
down.
priorities have, like, completely changed. Listen to it twice at work and once on the way home.
I listened to it one time.
And based off how your tone was right there, I'm sure the folks at home can know how Don thinks about it.
I just don't think I'm a big fan of the way Eminem sounds anymore. I don't know if it's always been that way. I used to like him in the recovery days.
I think you've just changed.
Me?
Like
You're blaming me?
You as
For
an
my
individual.
opinions?
Yes, your
How dare
opinions
you.
changed.
How dare you?
Because when I was telling you about the album, you're like,
You made it sound like...
negativity, I don't
Let's
like it.
let me read your description of the album.
I'm
Your
just
literal
about
first words.
peace,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah. You make up
I
a
just wanna
conversation to make
smoke.
your argument sound
I just
better.
want to
Keep doing
smoke
that. Yeah, that's
and
fine.
have
Let me get to the real message,
no
the actual
violence
fucking
in my life.
factual things here.
Peace and harmony. Yeah, man. That's just all I am, man.
Am I Jamaican?
Jamaican, man. One love, man. One love. And I was like, you fucking call yourself a man? And you're over here talking about this shit? And he's like, I've been spoiled by Logic too much.
Hey, that's the only quote in your entire sentence.
I was paraphrasing.
Yeah? Let me go through the actual conversation. Nick, bro, just sends me the album without saying another word.
You're welcome.
I say, is it good? He says, I'm always going to say yes. So that right there just tells me that you're biased in the conversation and
No
you should
shit.
be taken seriously.
You know he's my favorite artist of all time.
It's my turn. Next, he says, sounds like his older self on this one. Not giving a fuck and calling everyone out. Talk shit about like 9 rappers on his first song. I fucking love it. He slams a lot more people than Stepping Stone and shouted out Hobson, J. Cole, and Logic.
See? That doesn't sound like a bad, like...
All you said is he's talking shit. I say, I shall give it a listen. And then,
There's a couple of songs I didn't like the chorus in, but as far as his lyrics go, it's really good in my opinion. You can tell he has a chip on his shoulder because everyone's talking shit.
But I was typing exactly how you're fucking talking.
He talks shit about MGK, Tyler the Creator, Joe Budden, Lil Pump, Lil Yachty, and a few more rappers by name. Then he talks shit about Trump, of course, and the vice president, and lots of subliminal disses. MGK was creeping on his daughter, apparently. LMAO. I'm curious to see if he responds.
Yeah, I don't think MGK is going to respond. Joe Budden was on the Breakfast Club. Because I was curious, because I know Joe Budden's podcast. He podcasts a lot. He's like, I guess he's really successful in it. I've never listened to it, but he was on the Breakfast Club, but that's with Charlemagne, the God, and that. And sometimes when I'm taking a shit, on the YouTube recommended, it'll have one of their clips, and it's about a rapper that I like, so sometimes I'll click and listen to him. And every time I listen, I don't know why I click on him, because every time that Charlemagne guy just pisses me off, because he's always negative. I've never heard him once give out a compliment. It's always, that's whack, that's trash, that's whack. And I feel like he's just doing it just to be controversial and just to get views and shit.
Probably.
But this time, I was curious, because I was like, I wonder what he said, because Eminem caught his ass out like twice. And I'm like, good, fuck that guy. About time somebody tells him to sit the fuck down and, like, know his place in the rap game. Like, Eminem was like, oh, what's your talent? Oh, talking shit about my talent. Like, yeah, pretty much. You're like a sheep, he's the god type of thing. Like, settle down. And I had no idea Joe Budden was on that.
You couldn't go with the sheep-goat metaphor? Jesus, dude. Come on.
I was close enough. Sheep god. Whatever.
You ruined it.
Fuck off.
Soiled it.
Joe Budden was there, and they immediately started questioning Joe. Like, I didn't know. Like, aren't you close with him? He's like, man, don't even start that. I'm trying to have a good time at this Breakfast Club. We don't need no drama. Blah blah blah.
Yeah, you want to talk about it.
And then they played the lyrics in that, and then Charlemagne was like, I'm just telling the truth, man. He's like, the last album was whack, and
even Eminem says the last album was whack.
True. And the thing is, though, is he's completely opposite now all of a sudden. Like, he's talking very highly of him.
Charlemagne?
Yeah, and Joe Budden. They both are, because Joe Budden's like, the only reason why I said that is because I don't like people who sell their albums or sell whatever they're selling based off of controversial things that are in, like, the hot topics. And he was trying to say Eminem, the only reason why he was talking shit about Trump is because it was a controversial topic and he wanted to sell more records, which is fucking bullshit, because he's talked shit about every president. Like, George Bush, Clinton.
He didn't talk shit about Barack
with
Obama.
Monica Lewinsky filling out his nutsack. I don't think he talked shit about Obama.
Literally, it did not. Everyone but Obama.
Yeah, but that makes sense.
Does it?
For Eminem, I'm not surprised.
Why?
There's no reason.
Tell me why, Nick.
There's no reason.
I'm curious.
He's a very great speaker. That's why Obama can.
The rest of the presidents
He can
weren't good
speak
speakers?
well, and Eminem can lyrically rap well. So I feel like there's like a mutual respect right there. They both can command a crowd better than anybody. Bitch, fuck out of here.
I don't know if any of that's true, but okay, whatever.
But regardless, like, it sounds like they're acting like they're the victim all of a sudden, and they're acting like what he did is like almost uncalled for, and they're not even trying to, like, all right, like, you talk shit first, he's fucking talking shit back to you, and now all of a sudden, like, you're conceding. Yeah, and I'm not surprised, and I find it hilarious that everybody concedes that. It makes me feel good inside. It's like, yeah, fuck all of them, fuck all the haters.
Why does that mean something to you?
Because Eminem's my fucking hero, bro. We pretty much brothers. We grew up in the same city. We know each other.
He doesn't know you.
I know him enough for he kind of knows me somehow.
Fucking weird, man. So, like, you stalking him.
Yeah, and his daughter is hot, though. So I understand why. And so MGK is, like, talking this shit. But I think he was, like, he gets caught up in these, like, I don't know if it's podcast or he gets caught up in these interviews and he's trying to act cool, so he, like, corrects a couple jokes, but you're cracking jokes about Eminem's daughter.
That's what you literally just did.
Yeah, but if Eminem heard it, then I guess I deserve to get cracked down on.
You do. You absolutely do.
And know what I would do?
What? You thank him for it.
I pull a Joe Budden.
Exactly.
I don't want no drama. Thank you for all the people you got to come over and listen to the podcast, though. I appreciate it, You're my man.
He'll leave a comment on some clip on our Instagram, be like, y'all suck. He'll be like, oh my God, I love you. That'll be your response.
Dude, for real, would be. But I'd like it overall. I thought it was a nice surprise for my Friday, because I did not want to go to work this morning. I woke up like, man, Monday we have off. It'd be so nice to have a 5-day weekend.
Yeah.
But I just fucking mustered up and went to work.
I'm very proud of you for doing your duty.
Yeah.
I had like 4 people in my department out today.
I believe it, because all the Ford people, all the GM people at my job don't work there no more.
Wrong company?
Yeah, wrong company. They were all off today.
Doesn't that feel bad? when you're like the only one still stuck there, and everyone else is gone. You're like, I feel like some higher up should come in and say like, hey, I realize that you're the only one here. Well, let's just go home and take a holiday weekend. That should have happened, I feel, but it didn't.
Were you like the only one there for real in the office?
It was me and my good friend Hillary, who's also in my department.
Duff?
What?
Hillary Duff?
Yeah, Nick. I work in the
not-
creative department of a small T-shirt company with Hillary Duff.
Well, the last time she's acted is quarter past never. Maybe she has a new fucking passion.
You know what
and
she also
needs
has,
some
Nick?
fucking money.
A new fucking name. Pretty sure she's married.
Is she?
Yep, it's Hillary something else now.
Oh. Well,
Probably.
obviously, this
I
chick
don't
is
know.
a Hillary Duff, so what's the
Obviously.
last name at this chick? Shout her
not
out.
gonna- no, I'm not
shout
gonna
out,
tell you.
Shout out the girl at work.
You told me last podcast not to be so specific.
Yeah, we shouldn't be so specific.
Yeah, that's
But every
not-
single time somebody gets name dropped. Like last time it was Shaq.
Yep.
And
You
then...
bring it back up again.
Oh, man.
Anyway, so yeah, I was completely on my own. We had projects flying in left and fucking right. I was not prepared for that, but I took it in stride. I think I just went about the day like, okay, it's gonna be over soon, probably. So
My day was like dead because nobody was there. So if there was any issues, nobody could fix them because our IT department was like, deuces, we're having our 5-day weekend, fuck off. So
Nice.
if there was issues, I couldn't do shit, and there was issues, so I couldn't do anything, and that was that. Nobody needed help. Everybody was just chilling. So I was like, I'm just about to listen to this Eminem album.
That's literally
And then-
all you did.
Let's do it twice.
You got paid to sit there and listen to Eminem.
I also spent half the day looking for my anniversary gift for my girlfriend. And I was texting my mom the whole time, sending pictures back and forth. And then I hurried up and drove to the mall on the clock. Went to K Jewelers. I asked her, I'm like, hey, do you guys got anything that's garnet? Or garnet.
Garnet.
And, 'cause that's the birth,
Kevin Garnett?
That's the birthstone. She goes, yeah, it's over here. I'm like, okay, I'll look, but I'm not buying anything right now. I'll be back after work. I'm just here real quick. Because I work like really, really close to a mall.
Sure, so you
So
figured, why not?
I was gone for like 20 minutes, so people probably just thought I was like taking a little walk. Because people take breaks like that all the time at work.
Do they? Just
Yeah.
vanish for a little while?
Do they do that at your job?
No.
No?
We have a dedicated lunch break time that we go to. Or we can split that up into two 30-minute breaks.
But then they want you sitting down the rest of the time? Because to me,
I mean, you don't have to.
That's not productivity.
I mean, there are things within my duties that take me downstairs to the production floor, or to the bathroom,
but
or
you
the
never-
kitchen, or for a coffee break or something like that.
Okay, so coffee break.
Or
So you get
bathrooms.
up and walk around every once in a while, just like
Sure.
stretch your legs and shit, keep your refresh your brain. You're staring at a screen too long, dude. It's like it slows you down. Like your brain just like slowly starts to die.
What?
It's just like that's how I feel sometimes. Like
Wow.
if you're staring at a screen and you're doing math
Your brain dies.
and you're doing it for like 8 hours straight, the same thing on routine, that shit it sucks. Because
I
that happens.
hope you're not doing that.
Sometimes I do when I'm
The
slammed at work.
same exact routine for 8 hours straight.
Yes, because sometimes I'll be slammed at work and like I have a lot of shit to do. I have a lot of vessels to handle or whatever, and each one is the same process. So I do one, get that one done. Then I gotta do the second one, get that one done. Do the third one, get that one done. And sometimes I got like 8 or 9 of them, and it takes the whole fucking day. So yeah, at the end it's fucking like, whoa, it's annoying as shit. You got a headache, so I don't want to fucking go home. You're like mentally drained.
I don't want your job. Don't
Good.
go into logistics, people.
Yeah.
Avoid Ford and or GM.
It's a cancer. Don't do it. Everyone cries and complains. It's negative.
I didn't know you cried, Nick.
I didn't.
You said everyone.
I don't. Never. I've never once. Okay? Don't fucking judge me, man. So what's been up with your gaming shit? You got
Gaming
any,
shit?
You got any gaming shit to talk about?
I do, actually. I don't think you'll be surprised when I say this, but I have a new game to play already.
What game is this?
It's called Divinity Original Sin 2.
DOS2.
Yes.
DOS 2.
Yes.
What's it about? What was the first one about?
Well, they're both about kind of the same thing. It's in this very open world. It's a fantasy setting. It's very similar to like a D&D style game.
A D&D style game.
Uh-huh.
What's
Dungeons and Dragons.
What's a D&D style game?
So you create your character. You can be literally like any race. You could be a human, a dwarf, an elf, a lizard man, a skeleton lizard man, a skeleton dwarf. I could go on for a while. You could choose.
You could be a skeleton lizard man?
Yeah, it's fucking ridiculous. You could choose all your
How do they know
skills.
that you're a lizard man if you're a skeleton?
It
though?
looks like one. Picture a snake. Now picture its skeleton. Give it legs and feet. There you go. There's your lizard man. So you choose all these badass skills and spells, And then you go into this adventurous world with conflict and magic and all this thing. So when I say it's like a D&D adventure, it's like you go in and you're free to do whatever the fuck you want.
So it's like an MMORPG?
It's a local game. So you can play with up to 4 people in your little party.
That's dope.
It's like think of like Final Fantasy
Destiny
style thing. Not like Destiny. It's like this very story-oriented.
Like, okay, are you
adventure.
like walking through the woods and all of a sudden you get like attacked?
It's like a real-life thing. Have you ever played Diablo?
No, I've watched people play it.
So at least you know what it is. So it's an isometric RPG, meaning top-down Diablo style. You know, where you click to make your little man run. And basically you run around, you accept quests like you would in like a World of Warcraft or something, then you fight enemies and complete those quests. And then there's also companions that follow you around. Say you don't have 4 friends to play with you because you're lonely like me. Then you just get 3 little companions to follow you around. And they're actually really well written. Like, this has been dubbed one of like the best RPGs of all time. That's not an overstatement.
Sounds like an overstatement.
It's not. All the characters are actually interesting and unique in their own way. They all grab your attention.
Did you already play it?
I haven't finished it, but yeah.
I hope you haven't fucking finished it.
Why?
When did you get the game?
Wednesday. Today's Friday.
You shouldn't finish a game in 2 days, bro.
Okay, well I didn't.
Good.
I'm about.
You sound like upset that you haven't finished it, though.
I mean, as far as this review goes, I am, because I could have, added more information.
You know how close? Like, I've been playing God of War for how long now? And I'm not even halfway done.
You've
So
played
I'm
it for a total of like 2
I'm
hours. I
enjoying
think
the process.
it's been like 2 hours separated into 30-minute segments for over
For
like
the
6
past,
months.
Yeah, for like the past 4 or 5 months.
Yeah, I'm sure it's been a great experience.
It's not
for
that
you,
high on
pal.
my priority list. That game sounds pretty cool, though.
It is really cool. I actually played the first one, which is very similar, with Martin.
Oh, shit.
Mm-hmm.
Bring him back. What's up?
We don't really have the time.
We
like
need
that.
a...
Also, we stopped playing it because it just becomes like it's a very engrossing
Is it a
thing.
never-ending game?
It's not never.
Is there
it's
like
just,
a final
you could,
boss?
You
Or?
could put in like, no, yeah, there's a final boss. There is an ending, but this is like a game you put in hundreds of thousands, not hundreds of thousands, but like hundreds to 1,000 hours.
Is this kind of like Fable or no?
Yeah, I'd say it's similar to Fable. Your choices matter.
Fable was my jam, dude. The first one,
Yeah, for sure.
I fucking played the shit out of that.
Did you go evil or good?
I did both.
Oh,
I
okay.
played several times on that game, dude.
Well, sure. That makes sense. So yeah, this game is very similar to that. Like I said, it's one of the best RPGs of all time. So we'll see if that holds true on my end. I'll let you guys know.
Well, if it is, then we can invite Matt and Martin over,
Right, we could do a
and
little
we
fucking...
can do that or Sea of Thieves. So I
true.
still think having the boys over with some rum, playing Sea of Thieves is like the best fucking thing in the world, but we never do it.
Yeah,
We
it's
just
true.
like never do it. I don't know why. I never think about it until I'm on the podcast for some reason.
That's true. You never bring it up outside of this podcast.
I don't know why. Just it don't come into my head. Just
Hmm.
scatterbrain, you know.
Scatterbrain.
Sometimes weed does that, you know.
Okay, yeah, blame it on the weed.
Has there been any other Dota shit like Aftermath? Is there any team changes right off rip?
Roster shuffles?
Yeah.
There's been some rumors, but honestly, nothing crazy has happened so far. Like nothing with the championship teams. Like OG's still intact, which is
I hope
fucking
so.
awesome.
I hope the winning team stays intact. Sometimes they don't though. Like Final Boss did it one time,
Mhm.
just because they thought they were bringing in a better person and it ruined the chemistry.
Yeah, I saw a graph that showed how each team that won the TI, the international, did the next season, and for all the seasons, and they almost always do absolutely terrible the next season.
Really?
Yeah, like Team Liquid, who won last year and was probably the best team to ever play, has the same team this year. They finished like 7th place.
I wonder if it's like a work ethic / confidence thing. Like you think you're almost too good, so you feel you don't have to put the hours in.
Think about it this way. Say you're playing this esport, right? And there's an infinite amount of players trying to be professional. There's at least 50 professional teams that you have to keep your eyes on. Now you go to this international, it had 16 professional teams, each with 5 players on it. And then you see the champion that won. Well, if I can beat the champion, then I can beat everyone else, right? So you completely study that team. Everything they do, all their
Right.
tendencies, you know exactly how they work. So you're able to develop a plan to counter them out. And I think that's what happened to this team, Liquid.
Yeah, but as a championship team though, you should be able to.
You should be able to rise above it. And they did for a while. They were still the favorites coming in. And they did really well for like the first couple rounds. And then they lost
Crumbled.
one game. And then it was like all downhill. Yeah.
That can happen if you mentally defeat somebody, or if you just like ruin the morale of the team.
Yeah.
It fucks them up.
I think maybe they thought that they had been figured out. So
And
a lot of times,
you
if
think
you
that, then
if
you're
you think
figured
it,
out.
then you are. If you
Mhm.
think what it is, then it
As
is.
Confucius once said.
When
I
you're-
always
What is it? Hang on. What's the saying, Nick?
I always quoted Will Smith
What?
because I thought I've only heard it from Will Smith,
Okay.
but he stole it from Confucius. But those who say they can and those who say they can't are both usually right.
There you go.
It's the truth.
That was good. I challenged you on the quote, and you.
Did you think
shut
I
up.
didn't know it?
I
I know
did.
the fucking quotes, man.
Confucius says blah blah blah. That's what I expected out of you.
I'm not that retarded. Want to hear something funny?
What?
I went to go on YouTube to watch a video at work yesterday, and this thing popped up and it said, "Would you like to know how much you're on YouTube?" And I was like,
Uh-oh.
"Oh no,
That's not a
no.
good thing to know for you.
And I was like, "Yeah, I'll look at the statistics. Let's see." And it's not as bad as I thought.
Okay.
It's not nearly as bad as I thought. In the past week, I've spent 17 hours on it. Past 7 days of when I was doing it, and it averages out to like 2 hours
2
and
hours a day or something
like
that.
2 hours and 9 minutes a day or some shit. And I was like, I guess that's not that bad. But it used to be worse. Like I used to be on YouTube way more than that because obviously I haven't had a computer in a while because
Yeah.
Mr. Fixer-Upper Dalton over here.
Don't blame me. You came to me for my help. You get what you get.
We tried to fix my computer and it's just now. There's something wrong.
I don't think it's my fault.
I don't know what's going on.
It's clearly your computer.
I think it's a lack of training issue, as my job would say.
I mean, yeah. Neither of us had been trained in building
Right.
computers, but we did it anyway.
So
I built mine fine, and it's still.
I
chugging
built
along.
mine with my cousin. Fine, no
so
problem.
what the fuck happened?
Maybe we have like parts that don't mesh well.
It's possible.
I don't know. I hope not, because that's like an expensive fix. I hope we're just retarded. And Brad's like, "You fucking retard. You just gotta plug this in here." And I'm like, "Okay, cool. Thanks, bro."
Perks of having an IT friend.
Yeah, cousin, but you know.
Is he not your friend?
Cousin? No, he's like my best friend. Okay,
What the fuck am I then?
you're like a roommate, bro.
Ugh.
When I was super like, when I seen that, I was like, "Oh no." I was kind of like,
Where-
I didn't know if I was gonna have to like have a reality check.
I think you were.
If I like clicked in, it's like
36
5 hours a
hours
day.
or something. Yeah.
And I was
you would need
thinking-
an intervention, I think.
I was thinking like 2 hours a day, okay, but how long is that on the shitter? Probably like an hour of it's just straight
That's
up on
not
the
a good
shitter.
thing, Nick.
Okay.
The fact that your shits are an hour per time is not a good
Listen,
thing.
It's not an hour per time.
That's
I
about what
poop
you
like
said.
4 times a day.
That's
so
4 hours.
no, motherfucker. An hour cumulative.
Cumulative. It's 25 minutes per poo.
Yes, 25-minute poo sounds about right. And then like 20 minutes in the shower. So that's like an hour and 20.
Your showers
right
are
there.
definitely at least 40 minutes. You're at least in the bathroom for 40 minutes.
It's a shit and shower combo, bro.
That'd be 45 minutes
The
then.
SSC.
Jesus.
So that's where the majority of my YouTube time comes from. And I justify it because, it's research for the podcast.
Is that what it is?
Most of the time.
You're
It's
mostly
either-
just Star Wars or Halo shit.
I'm watching Star Wars shit, or I'm watching Halo tournaments to
That's
reminisce.
exactly what I just told you.
Or I'm watching MMA shit, which I listen to a lot of MMA shit on YouTube.
Oh, listen to MMA shit. I'm gonna use it as research, quote unquote.
You jelly, bro? You jelly?
No,
my
I
research
report
off
on
of YouTube?
video games. What are you talking about? We do the exact same thing.
Did you hear about the good news with Nick Diaz?
He is
He's a free man.
been exonerated of all charges.
Correct.
I was thinking about the words. It was tough, honestly.
And all the charges were dropped. So
So that means he can fight again, probably like UFC 2. No, let's see. Where are we at like right now? 230?
we're on 228.
I'm going to say he'll be back around UFC 260.
I mean,
He'll have a championship bout against Michael Bisping, I
I
think.
mean, he would fuck Bisping.
In
Oh.
UFC 260, yeah, I'd take old man Nick over old man Bisping.
I take primetime Nick over primetime Bisping. I take
Okay,
right now Nick over
sure.
right now Bisping.
Who do you take over primetime Nick versus old man Bisping?
Is that a question?
Technically.
Is there like some secret attack that old man Bisping's gonna have? Is Nick Diaz not gonna
Heart?
hit an old man because he's like a gentleman or something?
I could see it.
Is he just gonna like tap?
Yeah.
Well,
Have
then.
I told you that I've seen that happen in real life?
Dude, that shit happened. Like you physically?
Yeah.
When?
I was at a local MMA event with my brother-in-law and my sister. And
How have I never heard this?
I don't know. That's why I asked if you had heard it. You probably have, and you just forgot. But anyways, we go to this local thing. It was a long time ago, but I should mention. And most of the fights go on. It was pretty good. And then these two guys walk in.
How bad were the first couple fights though? Because those local cars, those fights,
It's hard to remember, but yeah,
horrible.
they're basically just walking in like scrapping.
Yeah, it's like a
Stolen
bar
arms.
fight, and
Yeah.
they're all exhausted after 2 minutes.
Yeah. Well, in this case, guy walks in, other guy walks in. The announcer, signals for them to fight. Guy on the left immediately slams both of his hands down and walk out of the cage. He was done immediately.
What did the fans do? Did they boo?
I don't remember. I don't think so. There was only like maybe
8 people?
four rows on each side.
There
of
was
the ring.
a boxing fight that just happened like sometime a week ago or whatever. I seen on the Black Beast's Instagram, and as soon as the fight started, that one of the boxers just straight up walked out.
Oh, I saw that
And
as
like,
well.
all the fans were quiet at first because they're like, "What the fuck's going on?"
Right.
And then as he's walking like halfway off the ramp, you start hearing boo.
Yeah.
Boo.
His
It's
staff
like-
is following behind him, like
Yeah.
rushing behind, like, sir. I think he was not very pleased with his pay.
Correct. I heard that he was upset with the amount of pay that he's getting to fight such a high caliber fighter.
I get it.
I get it too, but you.
He's
signed
probably
the
not going to get
contract.
any more fights.
For real, you signed the contract. If you sign the contract, you gotta.
You got to show up.
Unless it's like they're holding you to your contract. Like if the UFC was like, okay, Nate Diaz, you want to fight at Bellator, but you got 4 fights left in this contract, bitch. You ain't going anywhere until you do these 4
Like
fights.
treating him as a prisoner.
Yeah, and he's just like, okay, motherfucker, I'll do these 4 fights. Fight. Like I could see that. I probably respect it. I feel
There
like,
you go. That's how Nick Diaz loses to old man Michael Bisping.
yeah, I guess so.
Gets locked into a contract and only has one way out.
Yeah, so that's one MMA topic. Another one.
Don't bring it up.
What?
Oh, okay. Never mind. If you didn't know what I was talking about, it's not going to be it. Go on.
The fuck are you talking about?
Go
Oh,
on.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Max Holloway. We got an update with him.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he did an interview with UFC on Fox.
I've heard recently that he, like, from some local source on Reddit, like someone who bumped into him at the gym, that he said that he was ready to fight. And he's been good for a while.
Yeah, he said that he's been medically cleared to fight, and the doctors have not found anything that's like detrimental to his health.
Okay.
But that being said, they still haven't found out the
What went
cause,
wrong?
right? Which is kind of worrisome.
Yeah.
Because obviously you're healthy now, but when you're cutting weight and then your body's all broken down from a training camp,
Could happen again and possibly worse.
It could, yeah. And I don't know if it's related to a weight cut. He said it wasn't because of his potassium levels or some shit like that. I don't know. Don't ask me. But hopefully he's healthy. And
Yeah.
he is fighting Brian Ortega at 232.
Is he?
Yeah, they already scheduled the fight.
Okay.
So that'd be interesting. I hope that he's fucking... if he has a really, really hard weight cut again, then he has to go up to 155. That's how I feel. Because if not, he's like just literally like ruining his career. 'Cause he's already taken a year off pretty much this whole year because of... He's called out... he's like...
Dropped out.
dropped out of like 3 fights this year. 1 from injury, 1 from... I think 2 from injury. No, 1 from injury, and then he couldn't make weight in time for Khabib. And then this one.
Yeah.
So he's losing money, he's losing time during his prime, and it's probably extremely unhealthy. Who knows what's going to happen long term? He should go up to 155, in my opinion.
Why does that seem to just be the trend for all these fighters?
Because they fucking suck themselves down as much as possible while they're young, and they think they can do it their whole career. Your muscles can, like your bones and shit, you continue to grow and get bigger until you're like 26.
Sure. Is this like a new thing, though? Or has this always been?
I think it's a new thing because we're so advanced now, and they have weight cutting down to a fucking T. Back in the day, they didn't. They just kind of winged it. They just did saunas
So
and
now they're doing-
sweated their shit perfectly. But now
They're
they
doing
have, like,
everything within their power to get that
right.
weight off.
Like they have these body tests, and they test your blood, and then they test like your fat, how much like percentage of your fat, and all this shit. So they know exactly how much you can consume at certain times, what food you can consume, how much water you can drink, and half the time, if they're good, you don't even have to go in the sauna. But motherfuckers will abuse that. They'll have that perfect diet, and then they'll do the sauna on top of it. So they cut even more weight. So if you're 18 through 22 and you can make 170 like Darren Till, or you can make 145, no problem. When you get older, it's going to get harder.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like Darren Till, how he's said this last weight cut was horrible. And I've listened to some interviews now, and he ain't sounding like he sounds like he's miserable. I'll say that.
Darren Till does?
Yeah. Like he said in his post-fight MMA, or his post-fight workout. Is that it? Not post.
Post-workout interview?
Yeah, there we go.
Jesus. Yeah, the pieces there. Just gotta arrange them right.
Yeah, puzzle piece sometimes. I guess like he wasn't really that energetic in the workout at all. And then the interviewers are asking him, and he's like, "I'm just fucking tired, lads." Like he just pretty much saying like how like he's been living, breathing, sleeping, dreaming this fight, and he's just over it. He said normally when he's back at home or back at his training camp, where he normally does it, he does his training, he puts the work in, then he comes home and he gets to forget about it. But now that he's at the UFC Performance Institute, he's training nonstop. Then he goes home, but he brought his whole camp with him. So when he goes home to the big house, yeah, they like rent one of those big ass houses.
Sure. Okay.
He has everybody there nonstop. So he's just nonstop thinking about the fight. And he said it's driving him nuts, which I respect him for telling the truth and being honest about it. But I don't know if that's going to be like a hindrance to him. Because it's good to have a fucking clear head every once in a while.
Yeah, for sure.
It's if you're going 100% at something, then you're for like long term, then you're technically not going 100%. Because if you gave yourself a break, when you jump back on it, your 100% at that time would be way more productive or way much more output than your 100% if you were going for 7 days straight or for a whole 3-month training camp straight.
Right. What's that called? Diminishing returns or something like that?
Yeah, something like that. I don't know.
Okay.
But I hope he's not doing that. He looks fine. Like he definitely looks like he's getting skinnier. His like face is sucked in already, and he was saying, "I just want to eat rice. Like I just want to eat." Like he's like, "I'm angry now, but if you guys threw me a Little Caesar's pizza or like some shit like that, I'd be super happy."
I can understand that.
So I don't know. I've listened to him and Woodley there because I've been having a hard time making a pick for this fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a super hard time. Were we talking about something else? Max Holloway. All right, we're done with Max Holloway.
What a tangent!
We can talk about.
Finally, a tangent took us directly into a new topic.
Yeah, we can talk about this.
We
shit.
did it.
With Woodley and Till, like when I think about this fight, Woodley is the worst matchup for Darren Till in that division.
Because what does Darren Till want to do?
He wants to stand and overwhelm somebody and knock him out.
Who's going to do that better than him?
I don't think Woodley's going to stand and overwhelm him and knock him out.
He's just like a...
Woodley is the guy that can take Till down, is what I'm saying.
Right. He's a more
Him and
powerful
Usman are probably the hardest fights for Till. That being said, who's the hardest fight for a fucking Woodley? Till. It's like they're both extremely hard matchups for each other.
So this is like a little preview of the Conor Khabib matchup almost?
I guess. This is
in
like
a very muted
this is
way.
way more competitive than that
sure.
fight will be.
Yeah.
In my I could be clearly off on that, but that's like the general thesis, right? The general consensus is
That the
Conor
parity's there,
is going to either demolish Khabib, smoke him in the first round, or Khabib's just going to beat the fuck out of him for 5 rounds and finish him at some point.
Right.
This fight,
It could go either way, but...
This fight could easily go 5 rounds hard war. Easily. Like, when you look at Woodley, a lot of people forget about how good he used to be. Like, I shouldn't have even said that, how good he used to be. How good he is.
Yep.
His knockout power, how devastating he is because he hasn't done it in a while. People forget. But you got to remember who the fuck he's fighting. His last 3 fights have been against tacticians. The last one was against a jiu-jitsu practitioner that's better than anybody he's ever fought before. So he knows for sure it can't go to the ground. No matter what, it cannot go to the ground. So he's not going to throw wild shots that set him up for a takedown.
Right.
And he's not going to put himself in a position for Damian Maia to pull guard. So he stayed clear, make sure he kept his distance. He was winning the rounds. He pulled his shoulder, he popped his shoulder out of place or broke it or something in the first round. One of the things.
That's quite a range.
He injured it, okay? He injured it in the first round. So he's not going to go balls to walls after that. He's going to make sure he can maintain just winning the fight. And it's up to Damian Maia at that point to force the fight on Woodley. And he couldn't. As Woodley would say, he couldn't buy a takedown. He really couldn't.
Yeah.
He won the fight fair and square. It was just a fight. He won the decision. Then the past 2 fights before that were against Wonderboy. The first one was like a fight of the year type fight. Back and forth. Woodley knocked him down. There was times where Wonderboy looked like he was overwhelming Woodley. And at the end, it was a majority draw for Woodley, right?
Yep.
And then they rematched, and it was extremely boring if you're a casual fan. It was a very technical chess match fight.
Right. They were just feeling each other out and trying not to play in each other's game. And
Right. They both knew what the other one had. They already felt their presence and their power before, so they both were hesitant because they both know at any time they can knock each other out. And one mistake with somebody that high of a fucking caliber, a fight IQ, you're gonna lose your title or you're gonna become champ. And Woodley don't want that, so he did what he had to do to win. He did more damage. He landed more strikes, and he won the decision. It wasn't boring. It wasn't entertaining in the sense of like a Justin Gaethje type fight, or there wasn't no devastating knockout, but he still won. But if you look at the fights before those fights, when he wasn't fighting the best striker in the game or the best jiu-jitsu practitioner game, it was Robbie Lawler, the guy who was fucking feared, who had the 2 fights of the years with Rory and Carlos Condit. He was defeating everybody at 170, and then Woodley knocked him out in the first fucking round.
I remember how shocked I was. Like, who?
He knocked him the fuck out, and Lawler hasn't been the same since.
Yeah.
And before that, he's knocked out Koscheck. He fucking blew out Carlos's leg in the first round, so he couldn't fucking fight. Like, popped his knee from leg kicks or some shit. He, who else did he beat? He's beat a few people, like, just devastatingly.
Right. He's a very powerful guy. Not to be underestimated.
And a lot of people, I think, forget that. And I think a lot of people, for some reason, people just don't like Woodley. And I know part of it's because of Dana White, because whatever Dana White says, a lot of people follow.
It's true.
And whenever Dana White trashes the fighter,
They'll follow
and trash him.
bandwagon.
And then whenever Woodley tries to defend himself, they're like, "Oh, you little bitch, you're just crying, blah blah blah."
Right.
And
I think
some
that's
people,
mostly how Woodley just talks, though. Like, he's in the right for trying to defend himself, but the way he defends himself, it kind of makes
comes
him sound
across
like
that he's complaining,
like a brat.
Yeah. But everything that he talks about, he's justifying
It's
it.
true. Yeah.
I was listening to his media luncheon thing. He was eating lunch and it was media shit, and he's like, "Let me ask you guys a question. If I lose this title, you think I'm going to get an immediate rematch?" Nobody said a goddamn word. He's like, "Why not?" He's like, I've defended this title 3 times in a row. Everybody else got a rematch. Joanna got a rematch. Cody got a rematch without even defending the belt once.
Yeah.
Immediately.
No
How come
questions.
I'm not going to get a rematch? So he has a point. Like, the UFC's not like pushing him up.
Yeah, they're like intentionally not marketing him.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it seems like. Anyway.
So I get where he's frustrated, and I get why. I also understand how some of the things that he says can come across as him whining and complaining, but you got to put yourself in his position and not just think of it as one-sided.
Right. It's easy to look at these guys as entertainers, and if one of them's not doing his job, then he should be shunned for it. But these are people trying to, practice their craft.
And this is a extremely financially important decision.
It's very volatile as well.
If he makes the wrong decision, or if he does something because of the pressure of the public and it sets him up for failure to lose his title, then
that's on him.
That's on him, and he loses all that money and all the accolades that come with the title. And that's another thing, too, he's been getting heat about, is because he said that if Till doesn't make weight, he's still fighting Till. He's not going to fight Usman.
I heard him say that. He said he doesn't want anything to do with Usman.
Yeah.
If Till doesn't make it, then
I don't blame him at all. I literally don't blame him at all. He's training to fight a 6'3" big fucking gorilla that strikes like an animal. And when you're fighting somebody that's like that kind of tactician and that dangerous, you're going to bring people in your fight camp that are very similar to him. You're not going to bring in these fucking wrestlers, these Olympic-style wrestlers that are just going to constantly try to take you down and have like an overhand right. You're going to bring in these people that are extremely technical, that put a lot of pressure on you, that are bigger than you. So you can feel that pressure inside the camp and figure out how to deal with it. Now, all of a sudden, if Till doesn't make weight, first of all, that's Till's fault. It has nothing to do with Woodley. Woodley did his job. He made weight.
Right. He shouldn't have to be punished for
Right. Second of all, he's going to go after a guy that's the opposite of Till. That's an extremely good wrestler that's short and stocky, has a lot of power, and is going to fight completely differently. So I understand why Woodley's saying that. And I heard Darren Till, because I've been like trying to like get a feel for where their mindset is before this fight. And he said that because I understand where Woodley's coming from, pretty much saying that he's trying to be a safe champion. But he said, that's not me. I'm not like that. Like, I believe I'm the best. I'll fight anybody. But in my opinion, that's easy for Till to say when if Woodley somehow doesn't make weight and Usman comes in, you're pretty much fighting the same kind of person.
Right.
You know?
If you win, it's a plus for you, and if you lose...
And it's the same stylistic matchup is what I'm saying. So, like, Till
Sure,
has
you're
been
preparing for
training.
the same thing.
Yeah, he's been training this whole time, this whole camp, for a similar build as Usman. So if Woodley gets injured, that's not that huge of a deal if Usman comes in. But that's why Conor McGregor's a G. Because Jose Aldo got injured. Chad came in with like a 2-week notice.
Mm-hmm.
It's the opposite of the fight camp, and he still did it, and he fucking dogged it.
Right.
So there are people out there, but that's what makes Conor this huge superstar.
Although up until the second Nate fight, he claimed that he wasn't fight camping for specific fighters. He would always claim that he was just training to fight.
Maybe he was, but Nate sure the fuck told him that no, motherfucker.
Yeah, he tried to do that against 170-pound Nate Diaz, and
he just wasn't expecting Nate to be able to withstand what happened and also have the cardio to back up his how tough he is.
He saw his gas tank coming down to F, and he was like, "Oh, he can make it.
Mm-hmm.
He'll make it home.
Right.
He'll be fine."
And Chad, I think Conor knew that Chad wasn't going to be in the best shape.
Yeah, kind of the same thing. So he just put the pressure on him.
Right, so he was putting the pressure on him. He kept hitting him with the body shots. And
it was a very aggressive fight.
Yeah, for sure. So Conor's very smart with it, but it just backfired with him on Nate.
Yeah.
So I don't understand all the negativity with Woodley. I really don't. I just think that people are fucking hating just to hate. And I think people just, hopefully, if Woodley wins this fight, hopefully it's by a devastating fashion. Where he gets
Jesus.
So people
Sorry,
will stop,
Darren Till.
So people will fucking like give him a break. You know what I mean?
Sure, yeah. So he can prove that he's legitimate.
Right. So should we just make our picks now since we're already on this fucking thing? We'll fucking talk about other shit after.
Okay, fuck it. Where do we start?
I went through the card and I picked 5 fights. There's a lot of fights, but I picked 5 fights for us to take picks on. The first one is Jimmy Rivera versus John Dodson. Do you know anything about either one of them?
Yes. I've watched John Dodson. We watched him fight Mighty Mouse at one time. Don't you remember?
I do remember. That's right.
And I have kind of kept track of him, vaguely. Like I said, he's very, powerful, fast little guy.
Yeah, he's knocked out TJ Dillashaw. If you didn't know that,
I did, yeah.
He used to fight at flyweight with Mighty Mouse, but now he's at bantamweight. He moved up a class because he lost to Mighty Mouse twice. So there's no point in staying in that division, basically.
Yeah.
And since he's been in the bantamweight division, I believe he's 2-2. He lost to Marlon Moraes, who's a fucking animal.
Yep.
And then he lost a controversial decision to John Lineker, I believe. I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure it's John Lineker. Rivera has won 18 in a row, but then got knocked the fuck out by Marlon Moraes. Those two had a huge beef going in. The managers were talking shit. Allegedly, Marlon's manager was talking shit to Jimmy's wife. It was personal.
Sure.
And in the first round, Marlon just fucking head kicked him from hell and finished him. Marlon's an animal. That's what I'm saying. He's a dark horse of that division. I've been saying that,
yeah.
But he's not in this, so we don't have to talk to him. So basically, Rivera's coming off of a devastating knockout loss, but he's had some time to recover. It's not like this is a quick transition to a new
Not
fight.
necessarily something he has to bounce back from.
True. But John Dodson is a championship-level fighter.
Yep.
He has knockout power. He's going to be faster than Rivera, but I don't know if he's going to be as technical, and he's not going to be as strong. So would you like to make the first pick, Dalton, or would you like me to make the first pick?
Remind me of the main event.
Are you serious?
What fight card are we talking about? I've been looking through Google this entire time, browsing through every single
Woodley
card.
versus Till.
130. What is that? 230. What is it?
It's 228, you fucking fool.
228?
You fool.
I feel like we already did picks on this. I was looking through 233, 232. Going down.
233.
This is ridiculous.
Is there even a main event for 233?
Hang on, let me see. I forget.
Oh my god.
Anyways, I'm going to pick John Dodson.
Picking John Dodson?
So yeah. I'm going to pick first. I'm going to pick John Dodson.
No reason?
Because I've seen him fight. And when I saw him fight, I was like, wow, how is this guy not a champion?
He really is a championship level fighter. He's like a Joseph Benavidez, or he's like a Wonderboy Thompson, or like a Gustafsson.
Right.
Championship qualities, but he's just can't beat that guy at top. That guy on top's just a little bit better. But I'm glad you picked him because I was gonna pick Rivera.
You're gonna pick Rivera?
Yeah, I think Rivera's bigger. I think he can.
Rivera's 21-2.
Yeah, motherfucker.
Dodson's 20-9.
Yeah,
motherfucker.
Oh no. You can't focus on the record.
I know you can't focus on the numbers.
This isn't boxing.
I know.
You don't have to have a perfect record to be a good fighter in MMA.
I'm still picking John Dodson.
Well, yeah, you already picked, so you can't change.
I'm locked in?
No Indian.
Okay, I'm changing my mind.
Bullshit. I got Rivera, and I think it's just gonna be a decision win. I don't think he's gonna knock out John Dodson or anything like that. I think he's gonna be safe at first. He's gonna be hesitant because it's probably one of the first times he's gotten knocked out. And you're not gonna. That's like your worst nightmare. Going back into your second fight in the UFC is getting knocked the fuck out. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna call it first round TKO.
John Dodson. You think he's gonna rise to the occasion and succeed on that weakness?
I think you're right. I think he's gonna be playing on the back foot, trying to play safe, and I think that's when a guy like Dodson can really push the tempo.
It's true. You're right. If Jimmy lets him,
right?
Which I hope with the amount of experience that he has
he's a very
in the octagon,
skilled guy.
He'll know what to do. Yeah. So I got Rivera by decision.
Okay.
The second fight is Aljo. Do you know who that is?
Aljamain Sterling?
Yes. Versus Cody Stanman.
Clearly you don't know who that is.
I did not at first.
But now?
I had to do some research on the guy.
Okay.
He's 17-1.
16-1.
17-1.
Google says 16-1.
Well, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just forecasting.
Okay.
He's 3-0 in the UFC. And he just beat Brian Carey in his last fight.
Okay.
It was a very boring fight, and he did not perform that well. Like, it was controversial. Brian Carey could have arguably won that fight.
Gotcha.
Aljo lost to Brian Carey because the way Brian Carey fights is the way that everybody hates. Is the guy that will take you down, but he's not going to finish you. He's just going to try to outwork you and outpoint you on the ground. And he has really good wrestling and really good jiu-jitsu, so once he gets you to the ground, he can keep you there.
Right.
And that's what he did against Aljo. With Cody, that's what he was doing, but Cody bounced back and won the fight. Aljo got knocked the fuck out by, guess who? Marlon Moraes in devastating fashion. Have you ever seen that knockout?
Why are you still talking about this guy?
Because he's in the news, man.
I didn't see that knockout, I don't think.
It's like he almost went for a leg kick, but Aljo was going in for a takedown or something, and he just hit Aljo the right way with a knee, going for a kick. And Aljo stiff, like KO'd stiff. He was like, arms were all like fucked up, and he was knocked out for a while. Like, they had to take him out on a stretcher and shit.
Jesus.
Yeah, it was bad.
Oh my God.
First round knockout by Marlon, dark horse, I'm telling you. But
wow.
Since then, Aljo's came back and he's won a fight.
Yeah.
So this isn't the jitters after getting knocked out fight. This is a really, really competitive fight against two high-level fighters.
Okay.
Cody believes that he ruined his chance against Brian Carey to prove to everybody that he's the new guy in this division.
So now he wants to take that chance against Aljamain?
Yeah. And I was watching some of Cody's other fights because I don't know shit about him. So I was watching some of his fights that were in different promotions and shit. And he looked like a different fighter compared to what he did in the UFC.
Really?
He looks hesitant in the UFC almost. I don't know if it's because of stiffer competition.
I'm sure nerves play a factor.
But when he was fighting people in those lower cards, lower promotions, he was just demolishing. Like in his stand-up, he was aggressive. He was hitting hard. He had good footwork. And on the ground, he was outworking them. And he looked like a really, really talented prospect.
So what do you think about him against Aljo?
I think Aljo's strengths are his grappling. He doesn't knock people out. He fucking decisions everybody. So I'm not worried about him knocking out Cody. And I'm also not worried about him out grappling Cody because I'm doing the fucking MMA math here. But Brian Carey couldn't get that kind of decision win on him. And Brian Carey got that decision win on Aljo. So I don't think Aljo can get a decision grinding out win on Cody.
Okay. That
So
was a bit complicated.
So I'm picking Cody. I think Cody's either going to finish him, make a statement, or he's just going to win another close fight.
So last time, you were upset because you were going with your heart with the Jake Ellenberger pick. But this time, you're literally doing the math.
No heart this
to
time.
put in Cody as the winner.
I'm never going 0-4 again on my picks ever.
That's okay. I'm fine with taking Aljo.
Aljo's a dog, dude.
I always like taking the wrestlers.
And he trains with Cody, with Chris Weidman and all those guys in New York. Matt Serra and all those boys. I like him. He's the funk master, you know what I mean? Yeah, he got some swagger. Next fight is Jessica Andrade versus Carolina Kowalkiewicz.
Nice.
Kowalkiewicz. She's
Excellent
so sexy.
pronunciation.
She's like that innocent neighbor next door that you just want to like I can't, like, if I ever get the opportunity to where like you come over, we just have a few drinks and the freak comes out, because I know you're a freak. I know you're a fucking freak. This little nice girl bullshit that you can convince everybody else that that's what you are, but I know I could see straight through that.
This is her in bed.
That's her after a fight. That is not her in bed.
Looking rough.
If that's her after bed, then that's like some kind of intense sex, and
Like
I'm
you
all
said.
for that.
Like you said.
I'm all for that.
There was blood involved, people. Be worried.
Carolina's she's won 2 in a row, but she's lost to Claudia, who she got submitted by in the first round, and then she lost to Joanna. And I believe Jessica Andrade has won 2 in a row
Yeah.
as well.
One against Claudia.
Yeah, but the people that she's won against has been stiffer competition than Carolina. They both lost to Joanna. Carolina has lost to Claudia. Jessica beat Claudia in a fight of the night.
Mm-hmm.
Jessica finishes people. Carolina.
You've said it like 3
I forgot
times.
the
You
name.
completely forgot?
I told you. I can't remember names.
On the spot, you forgot. That's ridiculous.
Kowalkiewicz does not finish fights. She decisions fights.
Okay.
Unless it's a submission. She don't knock anybody out. So
Ever?
that being said, who's your pick? Carolina's like the
sure.
more technical fighter. Jessica's the more aggressive finisher.
Well, you're going to have your Polish girls, Nick. You know, I'm always going to go.
You're going with the Brazilian?
Yes. I
hope you're not going by looks.
No.
Because,
I mean,
oh, yikes.
that's rude.
You know
Can't
what's fucked up, though?
Look at her as a fighter and not...
It's her as a fighter, it's sad. Because
Wow.
I was listening to an interview that she had on the MMA Hour, and she said that sometimes she sells her Reebok clothes to make ends meet during fight camps.
Jesus.
And
That's
she's
ridiculous.
a top 5 fucking
Fighting
fighter in the
championship
world.
Contenders.
And she making that, she has to sell her shit to make ends meet.
The Kofar-
Motherfucker, she should be living comfortably. Like, not balling out of control, but she should be able to fucking afford to not do that. That's so fucked up. It makes me, like, feel so sad for these fighters because these fuckers are putting in so much work.
Yeah.
So much work.
Like night and day. It's their lives.
Like a professional athlete. Probably harder than most professional athletes. The amount of shit that they go through, their workout routines, how hard it is, how physically demanding it is, the mental toll that it takes to fucking fight somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And they're getting paid fucking crumbs. Crumbs. This fucking union shit needs to go. Hurry up,
Or
man.
it needs to happen.
Yeah, it needs to expedite.
Yeah. I'm going to take Andrade once again because you know that I like the wrestlers. I like Claudia and Andrade. Beat Claudia.
I thought you'd be like
Salty about it? No.
spiteful. Like, I'm picking Carolina and I fucking hate that bitch.
No.
She battered my fucking baby girl.
My baby. No, I'm not salty like that. If, say, it's the Green Bay Packers versus Chicago Bears and Green Bay beat Chicago because Chicago sucks dick nowadays, I'm not gonna be I'd be salty about that because I don't like the Green Bay Packers because that's a rivalry. But in this case, I don't dislike Jessica Andrade. I want her to succeed.
Let me put that in a different scenario.
Okay.
Just out of nowhere.
Sure.
Stanley Cup final.
Okay.
2022. Blackhawks, Red Wings. How mad would you be if the Red Wings won?
I wouldn't be mad.
You wouldn't be mad at all. You can't even say that.
I have nothing else to say.
That's been like my fucking dream.
That's your dream?
Since the Red Wings have gone to the Eastern Conference, I've been wanting that fucking match.
You just want them to beat Chicago. That's all you want.
No, I want them in the Stanley Cup Finals, and I want them to face off. That's what I want.
Okay, so if Detroit loses, you won't be mad.
Oh, I'd be devastated.
Okay.
I'd be heartbroken. I never said any of that shit. I'd be so pissed.
Well, I said you just want them to beat Chicago, and you would clarify, no, you just want them to face Chicago.
I want them to beat Chicago in the finals.
Well, fuck you. How about that? Anyways.
I'm picking Carolina.
Are you? You're forced
Decision.
to, so yes.
I think Jessica Andrade is going to win the fight. I'll be shocked if Carolina wins. I want her to win, but I don't think she has the tools that is necessary to beat a powerhouse of Jessica Andrade. She's like a mini, the Lioness. Amanda Nunes. Yeah, she's kind of like her. That's what she reminds me of. So, I got Rivera, Cody, and Carolina so far. You got Dodson, Aljo, and Jessica.
I like my pick so far.
Fourth fight is Nico Montana
What?
versus Valentina Shevchenko. I get to pick this fight.
We're not going to pick on Zabit?
No, that's a fucking given, dude. He's fighting somebody on like a 1 week notice.
Man.
It's not Yair. Yair get pulled out. He's injured, allegedly.
Okay, this is fine. This means I get to pick the main event. Go on.
That's fine with me. Yeah, Valentina. My devastated fashion.
Nico Montano versus Valentina Shevchenko.
Nico is what, 5-3? She's won her
4-2.
No way.
Yes.
Dude, I'm almost positive the shit you're looking at's outdated now.
Not. Google live updates their stats, man. Live updates.
Anyways, she's coming off the Ultimate Fighter.
Mm-hmm.
And she won the championship from there. Last time somebody won the championship off The Ultimate Fighter was Carla Esparza when she got fucking destroyed by Joanna Jędrzejczyk. Absolutely destroyed. Carla's back now. She's looking like a championship
She's
fighter.
on this card, by the way.
Yeah, I know. But I can only pick so many fights, bro.
Uh-huh.
But Nico is fighting Valentina Shevchenko, who is, for the folks at home, who has beat Joanna, I believe 3 times in kickboxing or Muay Thai, whatever the fuck they did.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. She also fought Amanda twice and lost a controversial decision both times against Amanda.
Valentina don't fucking fuck around.
Valentina beat Holly Holm.
Mm-hmm.
She submitted shit, I forget her name. She's really hot. She was in The Ultimate Fighter as well. Anyways, she's a really, really technical striker, good enough to beat Joanna 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
And her ground game is phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
And she beat Holly Holm. And she's at a division that's a smaller division for her natural weight.
Much smaller than her.
And her first fight in this division, she outstruck her opponent like 100-1 or something ridiculous like that. I'm not even making that up. It's probably higher than 100-1. It's probably like 300-2 or some shit like that.
Is this that devastating?
It was a mercy like beatdown. Like the ref didn't stop it, and everybody was talking shit to the ref.
So
I think
why
it was
is
Mario Yamasaki?
Why is Nico Montano getting this fight?
Because she's the champion. Because they made a new weight class from the Ultimate Fighter.
I see.
So this is her first title defense.
Oh, that's a tough one.
You're fucking telling me? Dude, Valentina's an animal.
Oh,
She's
fuck.
easily a champion. Easily.
Why do you get to pick this one? He's getting Zabit just so you can pick this one.
I'm picking Joanna. Even if Zabit, I pick
Joanna?
Zabit. I'm picking Valentina.
Well, yeah, but if you pick Zabit, that means... Okay, yeah, I lose the Zabit fight then. You're right. Okay, fair.
You got Nico?
Well, yes.
How's Nico going to win? First round knockout, 1 punch.
I didn't even know she existed up until now, so I didn't know this was a thing.
She had a fight of the night performance to win the title against, God damn it, dude.
I'm fine with it. She's going to win round 3 via fighting spirit, because that's the only info I got on her. She has fighting spirit.
Yeah. I didn't give any breakdown on this. I didn't feel like there was that much research that was necessary for this fight.
You just knew that Shevchenko would win?
I know so much about Valentina, and I know how much of a badass she is. And I know Nico's last fight and her performances in the Ultimate Fighter, they're good, but they're not Valentina Shevchenko level.
Definitely not going to be Valentina level.
So I think it's going to be a rough night for her. I hope she proves everybody wrong, because everybody and their mama is saying what I'm saying.
Yep.
So I hope she says, fuck you, world, pulls an Eminem, kamikazes Valentina, and fucking wins that way. That'd be dope. I'd be happy for her, but I just don't see it happening. Not anytime soon. She has a lot more room to grow. She's had like fucking 7 or 8 fights.
Yeah.
Valentina has like quadruple that.
It's ridiculous. The experience gap.
So the last fight is Woodley versus Till. So, me personally, I'm okay that you have to pick this because I have no clue. I have no clue who to pick. I legitimately have no clue. When I see them stand up and face off against each other, Till looks way bigger than Woodley.
Big.
Way bigger. But neither one of them looks timid. Neither one of them looks nervous. They both mean what they say. Those are 2 fighters that I can honestly say. This isn't like James Vick talking shit saying you're the Homer Simpson, like blah, blah, blah. Both of these people mean exactly what they say. They both believe what they say. And they both believe that they're going to win. Woodley knows that Till's a dog. And he also knows how hungry these motherfuckers are because they used to be hungry like that. Before he had the title, he was calling everybody out.
Right.
Now when he has the title, he was just calling people out for money. Which, fair play. Everybody else was doing it. Why the fuck can't he?
Get the green.
Yeah, how everybody else got their fucking money fights. Bisping did. Walter,
Connor.
GSP did. Connor did. Now fucking Henry Cejudo is gonna be fighting TJ Dillashaw, like shit like that. Like, but Woodley just keeps getting the raw end of the deal. I don't know why, but fair play to him.
Sure.
I just don't know.
That being said,
I don't know. Till, the only thing that makes me worry about Till is how he was saying, like I was saying earlier, that he's just over the fight. And I hope that he hasn't overtrained for this fight, and I hope he hasn't peaked already. Because if you peaked already and your body's in full recovery mode and you're not giving it any rest, you're still going hard as fuck, and then you got a weight cut on top of that, you're not going to be at your optimal, and you're probably not going to be good enough to beat Woodley.
I agree with that.
So that being said, I hope Woodley, he's been saying that he's been training nonstop. He's been saying that he's had a wonderful camp. I know he's done part of his camp at Duke Rufus's. I also know he's done part of his camp at his own gym. I hope that is not detrimental to him, because I hope I would wish that he stayed at his actual gym with his head coaches that are setting him up to fight the right style,
Right.
and are
Game
pushing
planning.
him to make sure that he's training enough. That being said, I don't think a champion technically needs to be pushed to get a good workout. I'm sure that they're in their own minds.
Yeah.
They got a work ethic that's good enough to get them to that level.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing I'll never forget what Dominic Cruz said when I was listening to an interview is, nobody will ever push you more than somebody else will. Like, you will never push yourself more than your coach will. And I always,
Right.
when I listened to that, I was like, damn. I don't know if I agree with that, because
No, I can get it.
me personally, I've never had a workout partner. I've never gone to the gym with somebody consistently. I've always gone by myself, and I've
Right.
always pushed myself.
Mm-hmm.
But when I think about it, if I'm lifting or something and I can't lift anymore, but then I see a hot bitch walking past me, I get fucking energy out of nowhere. I'm like, oh, do a few more reps. Or if I'm jogging and I feel like I can't do any more, like, when you're jogging, you have those mental battles in your head the whole time because you're like, fuck, I'm too tired, I gotta quit.
Yeah.
And you're like, don't quit, don't be a little bitch. You'll be all right. You ain't gonna die. Just constantly going on.
Mm-hmm.
And then right when I'm about to quit, I'll see somebody walking. But I'll never stop my jog while there's somebody there. It's something inside of me won't let me. I'll finish it, and then as soon as I get past me, I'm like, something like that. But
So you can get it.
I see it, yeah. So I can understand if you have a coach that's pushing you just to do that little bit more. So I hope that he has that at his own gym. I'm sure he does.
I
Just hope so.
I think people in general listen to others more than they listen to themselves, because you're always going to want to go a little bit easy on yourself. You're always going to want to cut yourself a break, because, it's for you.
Yeah, it's either that or you're going to overtrain yourself, because there's two things.
That too,
You can
so-
overtrain yourself or you can undertrain yourself. And a coach is there to make sure that you're doing
moderate it.
what's optimal.
Mm-hmm. So you could either be negligent or have tunnel vision, but the coach is just there to make sure you're
Right.
doing as much as you need
Having
to.
both, like a nice mixture of both, because being in the middle is where that's the healthy spot.
Keep your morale up, keep you focused on the game plan.
Keep you healthy.
Keep you healthy, keep
And
your
you peak at the right
diet
time.
and-
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
So that
Helpful
being
stuff.
said, who do you got?
I was actually very determined on picking Tyron before we got to this pick, and then the more we talked about it, I thought I could just picture the fucking gorilla that is Darren Till.
The more I listen to Darren Till, the more he reminds me of Connor. So I'm like, it's like I've learned my lesson with Connor from picking on styles and matchups. Like every time I thought Aldo was gonna destroy Connor.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Eddie was gonna wipe the floor with Connor. I thought Chad Mendes was gonna beat Connor.
Mm-hmm.
And I was proved wrong all those times. And Darren Till has that swagger and he has that mindset that's similar to Connor.
Yeah.
But Woodley is fucking.
He's on a different
He's
level.
Woodley.
So I'm gonna pick Tyron Woodley.
There you go. I'm kind of salty you picked him. I was gonna pick him.
Sucks for you. Because I like the wrestlers, and Tyron, I just think
He has the highest takedown defense in UFC history. Just
that too. Like,
just a little
what do you
tangent right there.
What do you do against that? He's coming at you with literal fucking cannons for arms.
Mm-hmm.
His thighs are bigger than Chun-Li's, and you are not going to take him down. What do? You get punched.
And another thing too for Woodley is everybody thought that he would not have good cardio because of how much muscle he has.
Sure,
he
does.
proved everybody wrong.
Yeah.
He proved everybody wrong, and it doesn't even look like it's scientifically possible because when you have all that muscle,
He's like a machine.
You need a lot of oxygen.
You think the muscles are fake, bro?
To fill those muscles
I
up.
think it's like balloons or something. Just
Dude, I don't know. He's taking some kind of pre-workout shit that just allows blood flow to pump through that shit. That's all I can think of. But like that being said, there's not a lot of weaknesses on Woodley.
It's true.
And if you're gonna look at Darren Till, he does have weaknesses. His ground game is, I can't say it's weak because people don't really get him to the ground. But if you were to get him to the ground, I'm sure you'll make sure
he's definitely not a jiu-jitsu.
He'll probably be a fish out of
practitioner.
water against somebody of a Tyron Woodley or a Damian Maya.
You say
They may be
Tyron Woodley?
Yeah, that may be an interesting matchup. Maya versus Till. That's a Khabib versus Connor. That's one way or the other. Probably Till just destroy him. Like a prime Maya. But anyways.
Yeah, prime Maya.
Anyways, back to the fucking main shit. You're picking Woodley. What do you got?
I have no idea. I hadn't gotten to that part. I don't really picture Till getting knocked out.
So what do you got then?
I don't know. I'm working through it very slowly, as you can tell. I'm gonna go with a 5-round decision.
Ooh.
No, hang on. I don't think I like that. I don't think Tyron would let that happen again. Again.
That'd be his worst nightmare.
Again.
Controversial decision win for him.
No,
that would
thanks.
literally be his worst nightmare.
Yeah. So hang on a sec. I can do better.
It's either fucking knockout TKO or
Yeah, he doesn't have a
decision.
lot of options,
There's
does he?
I don't see him getting a submission.
I can only think of a rear naked choke, but like, how does that even happen? It doesn't.
He knocks him down and tags him, and he jumps on his
Jumps
back.
on his
but
back.
he's a
He
finisher.
doesn't do that. Yeah,
he's gonna
he'll just
TKO
miss.
him.
I already picked TKO for the last fight that we picked on.
Do you not want to pick Woodley, bro?
I want to pick Woodley, but fuck you. You came into this conversation like, I don't know who to pick. I know nothing about this. Help me. Hope I'm glad you're picking first. That's what you said.
I said based off of everything that I do know, I all the information that I've gathered has not made me lean either way.
Exactly. So how can you mock me for not having a clear decision set out already?
Because you don't think these.
I
deeply.
clearly am.
You don't think that deeply about this shit. You just
I'm
think for a
explaining
second
it to you.
until it gets too hard for you. Like, oh fuck, I pick Woodley.
That's
and
not
then,
true.
And then you
I
say-
literally told you my process. I started with Woodley. I went to Till based on the facts, and then went back to Woodley based on other facts. And fact of the matter is, he's gonna win.
And-
I'm gonna go with third round TKO. Did you sense the confidence?
You went from second to first to third.
Third.
Third round TKO.
Yes.
It's not a bad pick.
Does that happen? I feel like I haven't heard of
Yes.
many third
Hello,
or fourth round
Yoel
finishes.
Romero. I rest my case.
He's like the king of third rounds.
And Brian Ortega, low key, with his submissions.
It's true.
But that's not a bad choice for Woodley. I personally think Woodley is going to win. It's like a fucking 52-48, though. It ain't no like 70-30.
Sure.
It's like super close. So I'm not mad with my Darren Till pick.
Are you on the mental stuff? Is that it? Because that was, I think, the big thing
Mental
that
is like the
swung.
X factor for me. Mental game is the X factor for me. We've discussed this every single time. I believe wholeheartedly that if you mentally defeat somebody in a fight, if you mentally cripple them before the fight, or if you even put a hint of doubt in their head, you have an advantage. If you put a hint of doubt, a hint, you're at an advantage when you walk in that octagon. You are. Because if...
Okay, but in this case,
They
it's not
bro-
really a matter of doubt, is it?
No, that's why
Till's
I'm
not
so
doubting
fucking
himself.
confused. That's why I don't know.
So it kind of just seems like Till's, stressed out and drained, and Tyron's obviously got his whole beef going on. He doesn't want to
Dude,
have another boring fight, so
Woodley
maybe
says
he's
mad, dude. He's
Yeah.
like, he said that he hasn't felt like this in a fight in a long time, and he's almost like grateful, and he thinks Darren Till is a blessing for him because he said he hasn't had the dog out of him in a long time. He goes, he's like, I'm just mad right now. I'll knock anybody out. Anybody's looking at me too long, and he's like pointing at the meat. He goes, any of you guys look at me too long. It's like it's on, and so he's fucking ready to scrap. I hope
So
he's
I
not
don't-
emotional.
we gotta focus on that tunnel vision. Make sure that you're not getting
Right. I
too
hope
far into that.
I hope he's not emotional, and I hope it's not like almost like a subconscious defense because he is intimidated by him, so he's gonna act like the alpha.
I think he's less worried about Till and more worried about what the fight represents for what
That's-
people think about him.
I agree, and I think that if he's more worried about losing and the backlash behind it, opposed to losing just the Darren Till in a competition,
Right.
which can be negative,
For sure.
or it could be a huge motivator.
It's hard to tell.
That's what I'm saying.
It's kind of the same thing
fucking-
with
that's
Till.
such a
He's-
hard pick, man.
Till is talking about how exhausted he is and how taxing it is, but like he's being straightforward and open and honest about it. And the only reason he would do that is if he was comfortable with it.
That's why I love Darren Till. That's why I love those motherfuckers. Even Gallagher and Bellator. Him talking all that shit. He literally gets in the other person's face and they call his name and he got knocked the fuck out. And he goes, hey, I took it on the chin, literally. Like, fucking,
What do you want
that's
me to
who
do?
I am. And I love when people do that. Like when
sure.
Vic got knocked the fuck out from Justin Gaethje after talking all that shit. If he did that same shit, I would love him even more. But he's being quiet now, and I'm sure he's going through all kinds of shit, like emotionally, because that was his time to prove that he was who he says he
ready.
is.
Yeah.
And then the spotlight got to him. But
So if you had to choose how Darren Till wins, how would it be?
I don't see Woodley getting knocked out.
I know. Do you see the point? You're literally saying what I said,
I don't see
just as slow.
don't see Woodley getting knocked out. I could see Till outstriking Woodley in a competition or in the win a decision. I'm gonna go with first round
What? First round? What?
knockout.
You're crazy.
You're out of your mind.
For one or the
I
other.
don't. What? That's not an option, dude.
Come on.
I don't think Till's good. I don't think Woodley can get knocked out. I'm gonna go with first round knockout for somebody.
Because here's the thing with the decision, too. Because if Woodley's losing a striking decision, I think he'll just resort to takedowns. And I think he can take Till down. I don't think Till can... Like, I don't think his takedown defense is going to fare that well against Woodley. I could be wrong. Maybe in the later rounds it will be if he has better cardio and he's better conditioned than Woodley, but...
I don't think that'll be the case.
Dude, this pick is, like, just as hard for me as Daniel Cormier and Stipe was. And that pick was fucking super hard for me. I'm glad I picked right. Glad I picked DC, baby. DC all day. He's my hero. But, fuck. I'm going to go with Darren Till, and I'm going to go with the decision win. That's the only way I can see it.
Tyron.
I don't see him knocking Woodley out. I just don't. I feel like Woodley is too calculated.
He's too stiff as well. Like
The only way I can see him knocking Woodley out is if Woodley gets caught up in the pressure.
If he gets too aggressive.
If he gets overwhelmed from the spotlight and that gorilla that is Darren Till. Because he makes people feel small in that cage. He literally does some jungle shit. He makes himself look bigger than he is as a form of intimidation, what animals do.
Yeah.
In the nature, all the time. He does that shit. And that consciously does have to fuck with somebody.
Does it?
I imagine so. It definitely makes you more timid. You're not going to be like as springy. It definitely fucked with.
I can see it working in nature because, a creature doesn't understand. Whoa, big thing. But if you're a person and you know a fighter's strengths and weaknesses, you don't know your strengths and weaknesses, you're confident in your game plan, your coaches are giving you morale boost, literally right behind you.
How come Wonder Boy was timid against him then?
It's just playing smart.
Is it? He didn't
Obviously
win.
smart enough.
He got dropped. Got outstruck.
Okay, so more to Tyron.
Just saying, I could see that happen. That's the only way Woodley gets knocked out is if he crumbles under the pressure. If he stays composed and he sticks to his game plan, I don't see him getting knocked out. But even if he sticks to his game plan, I can still see Darren Till winning a decision. So that's why I'm leaning towards decision.
Makes sense. It's the most logical conclusion.
Yes. Fuck. So I got Till, and then I got no. Valentina, then Carolina, then Cody. And then Jimmy Rivera. You got Dodson, Aljo, Jessica Andrade, Nico Montana.
Jeez, that's not her name.
And Woodley. Not bad picks for either one of us.
I agree.
I feel like I'm going to win 4-1. 4-1?
4-1?
4-1.
That's absurd.
Only one I don't have a lot of faith in is my Carolina. My Polish power, bitch. Polish motherfucking power.
All right. So we are joined today, actually, by another MMA expert. I know Nick is our resident expert. I don't know shit about it. So thought we'd get someone who actually knows what they're talking about. And we have today Coylvie from the MMA Reaction Podcast. Make sure you check him out. You can find him on iTunes. And hello.
Oh, sir. Expert. I go easy on expert.
No, you don't think too highly of yourself?
Easy on expert, but I'm well informed, I suppose.
Yeah, we've listened to you, and I personally think you're an expert, far beyond my own knowledge.
You gotta have that Luke Rockhold mentality. See, believe, achieve.
For buying into those self-help books.
Hey, whatever works.
So for UFC 228, we talked about it briefly on the podcast. Then we were going through the fight card and making some picks. So I guess we can go ahead and start to do that as well with you and get your take on some of the fights.
Yeah, we were having a lot of difficulty making a choice on the main event specifically.
Yeah, it's
a tough
pick
between Tyron and Till.
Yeah, it is.
So
Till looks huge, by the way.
Yeah, Till is a goddamn gorilla. It's ridiculous.
Have you listened to some of his interviews recently and like how he's saying he's just dreading working out and he's like over the fight camp and he just wants to get the fight over with?
I heard his stuff about his weight cut. That was pretty funny. Where he's basically talking about he hates dieting, doesn't want to eat well, and he wants to everybody fuck off once he makes weight.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah, I saw an interview, I think it was at ESPN, like just today, and that's basically all he's trying to not think about is food. Like he's trying to just training all the time or watching movies or shooting the shit and just trying to keep his mind distracted off of food.
Have either of you guys ever cut weight?
I have not. I did like very brief wrestling in high school. They called me the natural, actually, but I couldn't get any better than anyone else. So I was like, okay. This is
he got his ass beat by a girl and never played again.
Listen, she was a big girl, all right?
Don't let him fucking.
It
was not a fair fight.
What about you? Have you? I get the feeling
Yeah.
you maybe have a lot of experience with doing actual fighting.
Yeah, nothing on a professional competitive level, but I've definitely trained, taken some lessons. I've used to pay a gym to train, but never at a competitive level, and I don't pretend to be or claim to be any kind of professional fighter. I got to disclaim that because even though I'm well informed about fighting both on the ground and standing up, I don't want people to be misguided about who I am and what I represent. So yes, I've trained. Yes, I still do bag work, but no, I'm not a fighter. I don't pretend to be, and I definitely don't pretend to be an expert when it comes to MMA. I have to be very careful about that. But yeah, cutting weight is probably like the worst experience ever because it just, you feel like dog shit pretty much for the entire time. When you start cutting weight till you stand those scales, you feel like if you've ever been hungry, multiply that by 100. And then on top of that, your head hurts because you're dehydrated as fuck. It's a terrible thing. And I've talked about this before on my podcast about the ludicrousy of the need to weight cut. I mean, if you weigh 185 pounds, just fight at 185 pounds. I mean, it doesn't make any sense but these guys who like a Till, who's probably a 200-pound man, cuts down easily 30, 45 pounds just to make 170 is crazy.
Yeah, for sure. I've always felt the same way about it. Like, the whole thing is just like an archaic system that is hurting the health of these fighters.
100%. Did you see that even Demetrius Johnson, who's from my neck of the woods, he weighed at 142 pounds after he weighed in at 125? Like, what the fuck's the point? just fight at 140 then. You know what I mean? Like, what's the point? You're at that weight for 2.5 minutes, and then you immediately get the Pedialyte going, and you're back up to whatever your walking weight is anyway. So I don't see the point. But
I think
it's an old boxing thing.
Right. I think it's a competitive advantage that a lot of them feel that they need to have as an extra 5 to 10 pounds. I think it goes a long way. And if other people are doing it, then everybody else is like, oh, I feel like I have to do that too. Because if not, then if this guy's a better wrestler than me,
then you're just at a disadvantage.
Right. He can hold me down a lot longer, keep me on the cage, and kind of control the fight. But that's what Darren Till's doing. And also, he's younger right now, so he can he's still able to barely make 170 in a year or so. He's not going to anymore. So
yeah, I agree. Yep, I agree. When he gets his old his
old muscle.
He's got the benefit of youth now, but yeah.
So who are you leaning towards for Till versus Woodley?
Well, I have to look at Wonder Boy versus Woodley.
Right.
And that two stinkers from most perspectives, with the exception of the first and I think the fourth round where Woodley floored when Woodley floored Thompson. That fight was pretty mundane. It was pretty quiet. I have to assume, since Till is similar in terms of the choice he makes when he fights, I have to assume that it's going to look something similar to the Thompson versus Woodley fight. If that's the case, then we might be in store for a real stinker. I think Woodley's way too smart. Woodley is way too smart to get in some kind of point fighting contest with Till, because he's going to lose. And Till's got knockout power to boot, where Thompson's got a lot of power in his feet, but his hands aren't particularly powerful, just really well timed. So I'm thinking that I can only assume that Till's game plan is going to be standing back, controlling distance, and trying to pick Woodley apart. The difference is that Woodley's got insane explosion.
Right, he gap closes really quick.
Yeah, man, and I can see him catching Till with a hard hook, put him on the ground, and probably just going to lay on top of him for the rest of the round. I don't foresee Woodley doing a lot of damage on the ground, but we'll see. Till could definitely win, but I'm kind of leaning Woodley by slightly boring decision.
That's what we theorized earlier, pretty much. The thing about Till and Wonder Boy is Boy's more of a counter striker, so I was figuring that Till was going to try to apply the pressure more on Woodley, but he's still going to keep his distance and be a smart fighter with his range and his judgments overall. But if he backs Woodley up into a corner and then he tries to lay on him and tries to knock Woodley out, then that's when you put that fucking dog in the corner, and he's going to have to leash out, and that's where the explosiveness of Woodley comes in, and that's where you very well tag Till and knock him the fuck out, or drop him and then possibly finish him on the ground, or just lead to a
Yeah, I agree. I think there's lots of avenues for victory for both fighters. I mean, if they come out there and Till blows them out in the first round, I mean, it wouldn't be like the biggest upset ever. I'd be a little surprised.
Oh, for sure.
But
I'd be surprised too.
But it could happen. It could definitely happen. But something tells me, and I've been wrong a lot, but something tells me that Woodley's going to get the decision.
Yeah, I hope you're right. I want Woodley to win. I want him to prove all the haters wrong, because there's a lot of negative hate on him, and I feel like a lot of it's unwarranted. Some of it's just people don't take the shit that he says the right way, and a lot of it's because of what Dana White has said about him. And the past few fights that he's had have been against these tacticians that you got to specialize your game plan over, and you can't just have these brawls and these highlight reel knockouts unless you put yourself at risk. So
100%, and let's not forget the money issue.
Correct.
Woodley's about getting paid.
Exactly.
If he's not champion, he doesn't get paid the same amount. And he's a smart dude. And all these comments about his troubles with like Dana and the UFC management, people on the outside might give him shit for that. But we're not in the negotiation room. We're not the ones talking to the UFC. We're not negotiating perks and money and all that other bullshit. So I think that's not really fair for us to categorize Woodley in a certain way just because he's actually speaking out against the organization he works for.
Right. I completely agree with that. And he wants to make sure that he's champion for a long time because, like you said, the money is extremely important. And without the fucking title, you're not going to make that much money. It's a huge gap in how much the champions make compared to the competitors. Like even Jessica Andrade was saying that she has to sell her Reebok kits just to make ends meet during her fight camps. And she's
top tier.
Yeah, top competitor, top contender. And it's just crazy. Like, I don't understand why people get so butthurt about that. Like, you got to make sure you protect your own and make sure that you're going to be financially secure. And he wants to make a legacy, so he's going to be smart with his decisions. And that also goes for his decision not to fight Usman if Till doesn't make weight. Like, I heard a lot of people talking shit to him about that as well. And from Till's perspective, I could see how he would easily swap out Woodley for Usman because they have similar fight styles. But if Woodley is going to swap out facing Till to Usman, that's a whole different fight camp to prepare for. And on a one-day notice, if Till doesn't make weight, that's kind of like unrealistic to ask him to do something like that and expect him to just be okay with it and have a dominant victory. Like, you're setting him up for failure in that point. And I feel like the UFC kind of just gives him the wrong end of the deal all the time.
Yeah, it's hard to argue with that, and to touch on the point, I had actually spoken about this recently. That's why Woodley is so smart, because he knows enough to know that I've spent the last 6 to 8 weeks preparing for Till. Why would I then fight Usman, who's a fucking beast, on a day notice with no preparation?
Right.
That doesn't make any sense at all. You're just like you had said, Nick. He's not going to set himself up for failure in that manner. I wouldn't fight Usman either. I would say, okay, fine, then I'll either take 20% of his purse or I'll reschedule my fight. Either way, I'm not going to put myself in a position to where my back's in the wall to the degree where if I lose, then I really, really lose. I don't have anything to gain from that kind of matchup. I think people do give him shit. I don't think it's fair.
Right.
But that's the game, man. There's guys like us who respect all fighters, and then there's a bunch of douchebags who just talk shit. Like one thing that drives me fucking crazy is, you shouldn't have left the fight in the hands of the judges. Well, how about you go fuck yourself? Because first of all, if you're at the top tier, and I'm not talking about regional circuit, I'm talking Bellator, UFC. You don't think that these fucking guys are trying to stop a fight? You think that they want to go to a decision? Like, of course they're trying, but they're also not going to put themselves in. They're not going to fight in a manner that's going to make them lose or open them up for a knockout loss or a submission. The competition is so good right now in MMA that when your competitor is so good, don't you think he's good enough to avoid getting knocked out or avoid getting submitted? Like, you don't understand the time and energy that's put into this. And the best example I have of this is when CM Punk fought Mike Jackson. So we watched that they were a representation of MMA from like 1993. That's how the sloppy the striking was. That's how terrible the ground and pound was. The disrespectful ground and pound from Mike Jackson. And so I'm watching this fight, and I actually like CM Punk. I think he's a courageous dude. Sure. Not not ready for MMA, obviously. Never, and he's not really even. He has no wrestling pedigree, nothing like that. But as a person, I like him.
Right, he's got a lot of heart.
Yes, and I have respect for what he did. But the thing, what I noticed is I watched that fight, and I watched Mike Jackson's disrespectful fight with him. Then I watched Megan Anderson and Holly Holm right next, and those two, with all due respect, bitches, put on a absolute technically perfect fight. If people can go back and I want to watch the CM Punk fight and then watch the Megan Anderson versus Holm fight right after that, and you can see the evolution of MMA within 2 fights. You see terrible fighting, and these two bitches were so good and so technical. Megan Anderson is a beast, and she's way bigger than Holly, and I think that's the best Holly had ever looked. For me, watching that, I was like, holy shit, this is the evolution of MMA, because you see how good these girls are. I mean, they are top level. And I think Holly still won a decision. She couldn't even finish Megan. So to say leave it in the judges is just it's an asinine point in my book.
It's just something that Dana's been saying forever, and it's just never gonna go away. But I completely agree with you though, because even if you look at like the beginning of fight cards of the fights that are on Fight Pass, and then you slowly watch the whole fight card, and you get to the title fights, and you see like Mighty Mouse and Cejudo fighting compared to somebody who was on Fight Pass, and just the technicality of the fight, and you can just see the high level the top tier UFC fighters are, and just the difference of their fight styles and the type of competitors that they are, their mindsets, how well they are in different positions, different stand-ups, and their ground games, and just completely different. And CM Punk he's had like maybe 5 years total of MMA training in his later 30s, 40s, and it's just at that age. And sorry, you're not like the best athlete in the fucking world either. Like, it's just not really a realistic thing to accomplish. I respect the fuck out of him for trying it, and obviously he's tough as hell for going through it. Even after the first like devastating loss from Mickey Gall, just to have the balls and the courage to go back and get back on the fucking training board and get back in the gym and start training and actually have another UFC fight. Like, I respect him for that.
My apologies, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
Did you see it? You see what Woodley said, that CM Punk's still back in the gym, son?
Yeah, I know. I was listening to his that interview, and they were talking about Logan Paul versus CM Punk, and I was like, I don't even know if I like CM Punk in that fight, if I'm being honest.
Oh, it's sad. I think Logan Paul beats him too.
Yeah, because he has a wrestling background, and he's younger, and he looks athletic, and after that boxing fight, like, say what you will about the whole fucking thing, he definitely looked like he put some work into it for the short amount of time that he had to train boxing. He has like no boxing pedigree at all, and what he did, I was like, okay, good on you. I thought it was gonna be way worse than what it was, and I don't know, it's just kind of fucking crazy. I would not be surprised if that shit happens at all. Like CM Punk versus Logan Paul, I can definitely see the UFC going for that, especially nowadays with the new UFC when it's all just whatever sells.
If it makes money, they'll do it. I agree with you. I thought it was gonna look a lot worse than it really did, and I didn't watch the whole thing. I watched the highlights, and I'll say this: Logan's lucky that he was fighting another guy who didn't know how to fight. Like,
oh yeah, for sure.
He threw a couple jabs, and his crosses were okay. His hooks looked like dog shit, and then he did what he had to do. He should have won. Of course, he's in England. KSI is an English dude, so they give him a draw, whatever.
Right.
So fuck. But I like the Woodley said, you got a problem with Punk, you got a problem with me.
Oh,
that's loyalty to a gym. I appreciate things about, like, when Woodley says that, I go, okay, man, I get this guy.
Yeah.
He knows that CM's no good for MMA, but he still respects him because he's in the gym, even after taking his ass whooping twice.
Right.
Gets back in the gym and keeps trying, man. You got to respect that.
Oh yeah, he earned his keep in that gym. And that's you can see the brotherhood in a lot of those gyms. Like, look at Khabib and DC and Rockhold. Like, you guys are all fucking best friends. It's funny as hell watching them. I can't fucking wait for that fight either. Who are you leaning towards for Khabib and Conor? I just want to bring this up just because it's the biggest fight.
Well, there's only two outcomes. It's going to be presumably a knockout for Conor or a TKO for Khabib. Because you think Conor is an absolute master at distance, timing, precision, and he's also not afraid to run backwards if he has to keep the distance. Khabib's striking. So this thing bothers me too, is Ali Quinta was so dog shit for the first 2 rounds in the wrestling department that that Khabib goes, all right, cool, man. I'm going to flex my striking game, which, to be fair, is not elite level. But he still beat the f*** out of him on the feet. And I was a legit MMA artist. And Khabib still beat him on the feet. He got hit a few times. But I didn't see what everyone else saw with Khabib showed that he's human. He's so weak on the up when he's standing up. But compared to Conor, he is for sure. But it's not like Khabib didn't beat the fuck out of him for 3 rounds standing up, because he did.
Right. And even at the end of that 5th round, he was still trying to finish the fight. Like, you could see him putting the pressure on Al, start taking him down at the very end, and you could see that he still has cardio. And that's the equivalent of Conor outstriking somebody for 2 rounds, and then he knows he hasn't beat, and he's like, okay, I'm going to implement my wrestling game and try to show my jiu-jitsu game, and then for the rest of the fight, he tries to take the opponent down and tries to submit him, and he doesn't get it done, and everyone's like, oh my god, Conor's exposed. Like, he ain't fucking exposed. He's just trying to use something that he's not expert in.
Right, he's not experienced yet, so
he's
he's got
trying
to get
to
that experience.
Yeah, so
100%. So, I can literally, I can see it going either direction. I can see both, but it's going to be one or the other. If it's a barn burner, I don't see any option for like a back and forth where like at the 5th round you're like, fuck, it's anybody's fight. I think we're going to know everything we need to know within the first 2 rounds. If Conor can't mark him up and tag him on the feet within the first 2 rounds, I would bet the house that Khabib's eventually going to get in that clinch and put him down and probably TKO him on the ground. I mean, what if Conor catches a submission or something off his back? That'd be hilarious.
oh my god,
that would be so dope. But
Dylan Dennis.
Khabib's like this weird strength, man.
It is weird. Every time we see it, it's like a man playing with a child.
Man, but the thing is like his base is always like, I was always taught that you keep your hips down and stay heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Keep your hips down, stay heavy. But he can hold people down and be really fucking heavy, but he's not hips down. He's kind of like on a knee.
Right, he's like crouched next to him. It's not a very dominant position at all, but you can't move at all.
I would be terrified. I'm a 230-pound man, and if he's on top of me, I'm fucking terrified.
Yeah, it is crazy. So, do we think that the gap between Khabib and Conor's ground game is bigger than Conor and Khabib's striking game?
That's a good question. Honestly, I think that the gap between striking is larger than the gap grappling-wise. I think Conor's better than he leads on. And I know that Dylan Dennis is a dweeb and a nerd and a goober and, like, a real strange, weird guy, but his grappling is no fucking joke. He can't strike for shit. I don't know if you guys watched that the Bellator fight, but
yeah, I watched.
His striking is absolutely terrible, but his grappling is no joke. And if he's really legitimately training with Conor, which all the Instagram pictures would indicate, I could only assume that Conor's got to have better grappling than we presume. But we've seen Khabib striking. We know where he's at. We don't really know where Conor's grappling's at. And if you use the Nate Diaz fight as an example, he was stunned. He was already for lack of a better term, he was on Queer Street when he was already grappling. So it's difficult to tell where his level is on the ground.
He was exhausted for sure, and that's why he shot for that takedown.
Quickly turned into a wrestler.
Yeah. And
Yep.
I think a lot of people think that Khabib's gonna fight Conor with the same stance and the same way that he fought Al in those later rounds. I don't think Khabib's gonna do that at all. I think Khabib is he's very smart and he's humble enough to call himself out and say, my striking's not as good as Conor's, and his coaches say it too. So they all say, like, you think that we're going to go in there with our hands down like we did with Al? Like, no, he's going to have his hands up. He's going to go shooting for takedowns like crazy, and he's probably not even going to try to strike with him, at least for the first round. He's just going to go for takedowns constantly. That's what I feel. And if he doesn't do that, then I think he's just setting himself up for failure.
I agree.
100%. Did you see Javier Mendez had spoken to that? He already said, he had given an interview because, that's Khabib's trainer. He goes, we're not even going to focus on stand-up. We already know Conor's way better. Why would we focus on that? There's nothing we can do to prepare for Conor's striking. We already know it's going to be, several notches above what we can do. But that doesn't mean that we can't win. We're not focusing on that. Right. And why would you, just like Nick had said, that's retarded. That's going to guarantee your loss. It's not going to happen.
Right. That's kind of what happened to Eddie Alvarez. He saw the lights and he abandoned the game plan to hang and bang with Conor McGregor.
And then you saw what happened. That might be the best Conor we've ever seen too. The way he just pop, 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 and he wasn't even throwing any power. That was all precision and timing.
Yeah. The thing about Conor is he shines under those lights.
That's true.
And the bigger the stage, the bigger the pressure, the bigger the fight, he performs better. So we've never seen Khabib in such a high-profile fight. So I'm curious to see how he's gonna be. I would like to think that a fucking Dagestani who wrestles these bears growing up and has all these gym stories isn't gonna get intimidated from all the pressure and all the build-up and all that. But it's still curious to see. I cannot wait for their first press conference, and I cannot fucking wait to see them stare each other down. Because that fucking mental game, for me personally, is like a huge part of fighting. I feel like if you can mentally defeat somebody before the fight, you got a huge advantage in the fight. And that's part of Conor's game. I feel like that's why he's talking all this shit on Instagram and calling out Khabib's dad and some other family members and just his gym. And it's all trying to get under the skin of Khabib just to make him not fight with the game plan and make him fight emotionally and try to knock Conor's head off. And he tries to knock Conor's head off, that's when Conor's going to put him to sleep. So the whole
100%.
The whole thing's fucking like the fight started once they signed the contract. The fight doesn't start once they get in the octagon.
That's true.
100%. That tweet about his middle child and his dad, that gave me the chills.
For real.
I was like, ooh, fuck, man. Like, I almost felt offended for Khabib. Like, I was like, God damn, man. You know, because, I mean, Dagestan is no motherfucking joke. If you grew up in Dagestan, you are a hard. You were born with stone skin. You know what I mean? I don't know if those mental games will get into Khabib's head, but if they do, then Conor will for sure seal the victory.
And I believe in Dagestani culture, insults to fathers is a big goddamn deal. So he might have been picking the lowest hanging fruit, just the hardest hitting fruit as well.
Yeah, Conor's going out there.
Yeah.
He's throwing fucking.
Smart dude, man. He knows how to do it.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, he definitely does that shit better than anybody else. But I was looking at Khabib's Instagram. I was just like waiting for replies, and he's not replying at all. He's just showing his training, just saying like be humble, respectful, and then like showing Luke Rockhold fucking around with DC and stuff like that. So I don't think it's getting to him. If it, at least he's not portraying that it's getting to him, and that's the good thing, because if you show Conor that everything that you're doing isn't gonna work, then that can almost even intimidate Conor in a sense. That like, oh shit, like kind of like what happened with Nate in the first fight when Conor was just trying to talk shit and pretty much intimidate Nate and try to get in his head. But then once he realized he couldn't get in Nate's head and that's impossible, then it was just up to the fight. And then once the fight happened and Conor blew his wad in the first round trying to finish Nate, and he realized that Nate's still there because even though he was out of shape, but out of shape Nate still has unbelievable cardio.
Yeah.
He was like, oh shit. And then it led to Conor's failure. So we'll see how this goes. I cannot wait for the fucking first press conference. I cannot wait.
Yeah. It's September, right? Like mid-September sometime, I think.
Yeah, I believe so. Do you think, back to UFC 228, do you think Nico Montana has a chance in hell or no?
No chance. Valentina at 125, she's scary.
Yeah, she's scary.
She's real scary, man. And I no disrespect to Nico, but she's the Dana White Contenders winner. Like, that's still supposed to develop talent. That talent's not supposed to be in championship form. So, if she beats Valentina, I think that I grossly underestimated her ability. But I would imagine Valentina put her away in the first couple rounds. Yeah, I'm pretty confident. that she'll take it pretty easy.
You seen how dominant she was in her first fight at 125, and then you just look at how competitive her fights were with Amanda Nunes, and she's beaten Holly Holm. And then she's beat Joanna a few times in kickboxing. Yeah. So she's a complete fighter in every sense of the word. Her striking is unbelievable. She's even had submissions in a few of her latest fights. And Nico kind of reminds me of Carla Esparza when she won the title in The Ultimate Fighter, and then she had to fight Joanna Jędrzejczyk, and then Joanna fucking showed her the difference between a Ultimate Fighter champion and an actual champion.
It's just different tiers.
So
she ruined her face for permanently her face was changed.
Yeah, she was fucked up for a few fights after that. Carla's definitely getting her form back now. I think she's actually on this card.
Yeah, she is against Suarez.
Yeah, so that'll be a good fight. But this Nico, I don't know. Maybe she proves the world wrong because I don't think anybody's picking her. Yeah. But I definitely think Valentina's going to win that fucking title. And then maybe one day we'll see, like, maybe Joanna's going to go up if she can't get a title shot with Rose again. Because that's probably not going to happen.
She'd be small at 125, though.
I agree. Yeah, it'll be a stiffer competition, at least for the championship. Like 125, there's not that. It's not there's not a lot of depth there. But
No.
Valentina's there, so Joanna's gonna have a hard time with that for sure.
Any chick that tattoos a gun on her hip, I'm staying away from.
And she does all kinds of like SWAT training or whatever you want to call it, where she's always doing these shooting drills, and she's just a badass. She makes me feel less of a man every time I look at her shit. Who do you think's gonna be the main event for 2:30? Kind of just spewing shit out here.
Sure.
I have no clue, man. I was looking at that today, and I'm not real excited about that entire card so far, actually. But it is possible, because that card's like the end of December, right? December 29th? Or is it in November?
November 3rd.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think it's in November.
Oh, it's November 3rd. Oh, that's a little sooner than I thought. I was thinking maybe a John Jones Cormier heavyweight fight. But I think that's going to be at the end of the year. They have a card in Vegas on the 29th of December. And I think that's going to be I would assume that the UFC is trying to get the Jones Cormier fight to come back together. And, Jones was just in the news, I think today, said that he thinks that Cormier is going to be more difficult at heavyweight, but he still can beat him. And I agree with him, but we'll see. We'll see what happens and what Cormier wants to do.
If that fight does happen, I'm gonna pray to the fucking MMA gods that DC somehow wins. I want him to beat John Jones so bad.
Has to.
But John Jones is just he's like the main bad guy in a game that just always gets you every single time. He's like nothing you can do.
He's a cartoon villain.
He's that guy. He's that guy that you played sports with in high school who never tried hard but was better than everybody.
Yeah.
Right. It's like the fucking
spoiled natural talent.
And that guy has got. Well, you think like his genetics are so ridiculous because his two brothers are in NFL.
Mm-hmm.
They're giant defensive players, and I think they both have Super Bowl rings. I think Chandler got it when Arizona won. I think I could be wrong. I'm not a huge football guy, and the other guy, his name slips me, he got it with Baltimore. So
I'll take
you're talking about a family of genetics. It's just ridiculous.
For sure.
I'll take your word for it. I have no fucking clue what that football shit.
Jeez.
But that's interesting. I didn't think of that way where they would do Jones versus DC first. I thought that they would do DC versus Lesnar first just because of that promo. But that does kind of make sense, and because if Jones and DC fight again at heavyweight, and let's say Jones wins, then Jones versus Lesnar is going to be a lot bigger than DC versus Lesnar.
Yep. You're talking.
So that I wouldn't be surprised if they do that. Did you know that John Jones has only been tested by USADA like a few times this whole year, like once or twice?
I just saw that, and like Cormier and Holly Holm are two of the most tested.
Yeah, it's a fucking joke.
So they test all the ones that they know are going to come back negative, but the ones that might come back positive, we'll test you when you're ready.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm about to hurt everyone's feelings right now, but I don't give a fuck about steroids. And not the sense where I'm a big, like, oh, you should definitely take them. What I mean by that is if people they can't blood dope, but they can stay in hyperbaric chambers. They can do cryotherapy. They can put stem cells in their body. They can get all kinds of physical therapy. They can take creatine. They can take all kinds of vitamin supplements. They can take all kinds of other shit. Where when you take testosterone, it's a hormone that you already make. Now, the problem is that it's illegal. So anytime something's illegal and it's left to the user to control dosage, that's when abuse comes in. Because if I gave Nick a needle and said, hey, man, try this out. He gets to the gym, he shoots himself in the ass, and he starts lifting mad weight. He's like, oh, well, if one vial works, I'm going to start taking 2 vials. And I'm going to start taking 3. And then you get Uberemes with a ridiculous ratio. But if they I didn't mind the TEU era, the therapeutic use exemption era, TUE, because if you go to a doctor once a month and it's actually regulated and you keep your levels to where they should be for recovery, which realistically should be a little bit higher than, like, say, it shouldn't be necessarily like a 1-to-1 ratio. Because if you're breaking your body down, and these motherfuckers train like no other. I don't care who you are. If you train MMA, you are beating the fuck out of your joints, your muscle tissue, your core, your fucking bones. Everything is working at maximum for 6 to 8 weeks. You need that hormone to rebuild your body. You have to have it. I think that where the issue comes in is these guys who've been popped to testosterone and they look the part, like the Vitors and the Ubereens and the Brock Lesnars and all these guys, and to a lesser extent the Yoel Romeros and the Paulo Costa guys. You can see the abuse because they're not using it just for recovery. Obviously, they're using it for other things. But is that any worse than anything else somebody is doing to get an edge? Is that testosterone? Why is that overvalued amongst all the other things that fighters can and can't do? Like, and then you want to get into weight cutting. Is it fair for Till to be 20 pounds heavier than Woodley? Does that outweigh a testosterone test? If Till can come in weighing 200 pounds, then Woodley's probably going to be every bit of 185. Now you have a pretty legit. I mean, you're talking 15 pounds difference in a fight. Is that any more fair or less fair than if you happen to be on testosterone?
I think
I don't know.
It's definitely because it's illegal, and the fact that it is illegal, and some people don't break the rules, and other people will do it just for the competitive advantage. That's where that slippery slope comes in. If it was regulated and then they allowed it, then you got the older fighters like Vitor that can actually still perform at a high level on the latter end of his career. But then you have that controversy there where, okay, does somebody that has all this experience and all this fight knowledge, should he be able to have the testosterone levels of a 20-year-old, or should his experience and his fight knowledge be good enough to beat those guys, or maybe he's just at the end of his career? So you got some people on that end, and you got other people on the other end that just say, fuck it, let them do it. Like me personally, I think that it's illegal right now, so I'm not for it. Like, if you get caught doing it, then fuck you. But if it was legal, then fucking do it up. And then we have these crazy ass Uberine people, and you have fucking TRT Vitor,
basically Dragon Ball Z fights,
head kicking Luke Rockhold and knocking Bisping in fucking hell. Like, it's definitely for more entertaining fights for sure. And that's what this is a fight promotion. So you want to watch entertaining fights. So if they regulated it, I could definitely see it being a good thing. Just because it's illegal now, there's just lots of controversy with it.
I find it interesting that Dana White's completely changed his tone over the years too. If you watch early interviews when TUEs were still allowed and everything, and they would ask Dana about steroids, they go, "Hey man, if they pass the test, they pass the test." I think at that point he had a similar outlook on it, and now he's like Mr. drug free. We're the cleanest sport in the game. Which with Nowitzki and USADA, they have legit cleaned the fuck out of that sport in terms of testosterone use, because you can look at some of these fighters and they're completely smooth. Fighters that were like super cut up and jacked, and now they're like, they lost body weight and they look very smooth all of a sudden. So whatever they are doing, if that's the goal, they achieved the goal for sure. And to your point, Nick, it is illegal. So I'm on your side. If it's illegal, you're not supposed to do it, you shouldn't do it. I just think that they need to take a closer look at really what is and is not fair. That's more of my point. Not that it should be okay that they're doing it behind the backs of the other fighters. Because I agree with you. If I'm jacked up on a 15-to-1 ratio and my opponent's clean as fuck, like a Michael Bisping who was the victim twice, I get that. That makes sense to me. But I think it needs to be regulated just like everything else. And they need to look at other things too. I mean, what should be considered okay and not okay? Because it's all up to the commissions and USADA what they deem is okay and isn't okay. And if you go onto USADA's website and you look at everything that's banned, it's like 70 pages long of what you're not supposed to take. It's ridiculous. I was looking at it just to find good supplements so I can get some gains. And
there you go.
It's funny. If USADA, I'm gonna get on this.
I get what you're saying, that it's just like another natural advantage to give yourself, no different than any other supplements or therapies that these fighters are doing. So as long as you're regulating it in a safe dosage, you're not harming yourself, why should it be illegal?
Well, interestingly enough, they've actually injected testosterone into rats and mice and found that they've lived longer. Like, there's something to that hormone that we already produce that actually is healthy, and it is beneficial for you. They've actually now found that cholesterol is a building block of testosterone. So all these like super low fat diets and stuff is hurting your testosterone because you're not putting enough fats of cholesterol in your body to build the testosterone in the first place. So I think our idea of what testosterone really is wrong. If you go back, and I don't mean to give you guys a history lesson here,
no, it's fine.
but you guys are aware? I'm a little bit older than you guys, I think, but you guys are aware of who Lyle Alzada is?
Haven't heard the name, though, actually.
He was a famous football player. He was a linebacker, I believe, for the Raiders years ago. Then this was before I was born, too. This is like in the 70s. But he got real sick in the older age after he retired from football, and he got real gaunt, and he got real sick, and he said, "Oh, I got a brain tumor," and then he blamed it on all the steroids he took when he was playing football. And because of that, ever since that's when like all those like PSA TV show or made for TV movies came out with people on roid rage and like all these problems with testosterone's going to kill you and all these things. It's funny they say that testosterone's going to do this to you, but it's also illegal to test testosterone to find out. It's a scheduled if I'm a scientist, I'm not allowed to procure the testosterone to even test it to find out which dose is safe and which dose isn't safe, what the side effects are. There's no way to actually appropriately test it because it's illegal to use it. So for them to say that the steroids are doing this or isn't doing this is a moot point because they actually don't know.
It's like some fucking devil's grass propaganda back in the day, saying it was
Exactly, 100%. 100%. They say whatever they want.
That's interesting. I never knew that. That's
No, not at all. It's a crazy comparison to make, especially in football where there's all this helmet-to-helmet contact, and especially back in the 70s.
It was less.
Yeah, it's nuts, man.
They definitely had like less gear back then, but
And less regulations in general. Like now you can't even hit someone in the head, so back then.
You know what's crazy is that gear, that football shoulder pads, that actually could be increasing the head trauma. Because it just like when you wrap up your fists and you tape your hands up, it actually makes your fist impact the target harder because you don't have any flex in your wrist.
Right.
So when you put a helmet and pads on, you can actually hit people a lot harder because there's no give in your joints because you're completely compacted in those pads.
It's basically just a brass knuckles for your whole body.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So exactly. So what the thinking is now is that you actually reduce the amount of gear that football players are wearing to reduce the CTE. And they just did a test, and they said that they were finding CTE cases in kids as young as 7 in Pee Wee football.
Oh yeah, I believe that.
That's crazy, man. So that makes you think, like, fuck, am I gonna put my kids in football? Because I was a lifetime football player. I got 2 sons. I'm not so sure that I'm gonna be having them play football. To be honest with you, I'm thinking about my own head trauma. Like, what about all the shit I've done in my head? Like, it's kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah, it might be soccer for them. Worst they get is grass stains.
Soccer and basketball. Yeah.
Just throw them in wrestling or jiu-jitsu. That'll be fine. That is interesting though, because I've heard Joe Rogan talk about that a lot as far as the gloves, and he said he would like to see no gloves and just bare knuckles, because when you're punching somebody with just your hand, you're going to be way more susceptible to injuring your hand and breaking your hands during the fight. So you're going to be a lot more cautious where you're just throwing your hands. You're not going to be punching somebody in the forehead or punching somebody somewhere that's going to hurt. Like, it's where their bones are stronger than your hands. Because if you break your hands early on in the fight, then you're at a huge disadvantage. But with these gloves on and all this tape and all this extra added support, these guys are able to just throw caution to the wind and throw as hard as they can anywhere just to land a shot. And it definitely leads to more damage long term.
100%, man. But did you watch bare knuckle fighting? Because I was a little sick to my stomach.
No, I didn't. Honestly,
I just saw a video a couple days ago. I think it was a fight in England, and it was bare knuckle boxing. Their hands were wrapped up, but they were still just laying into each other, and they didn't seem to have a care in the world. I don't know if it was just because they're English and maybe drunk a little bit, but the guys are savages.
I know it's safer, legitimately, but there's something about it that just seems so unnatural,
right.
And the knuckles will definitely cut easier. So it's kind of like that weird thing where you're like, I know it's probably better for the fighters overall, like head trauma, broken hands, that kind of thing, but it's way bloodier, and it looks like it's like death by 1,000 paper cuts instead of like a you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
It would definitely take a lot of time to get used to if you're trying to implement that as like the new status quo on TV for fighting.
There's still plenty of states who aren't happy with MMA as it is. So
right, and it'd be like watching MMA grow all over again, and everybody talking about, oh my God, this human cockfighting, this is horrible, blah blah blah, and it'd be something like that.
Whatever. We like seeing people getting the shit knocked out of each other, I guess. So that's what we're chasing.
I say that all the time. even at like live boxing events and MMA fights, even if there's a fight in the cage, if a fight breaks out in the crowd, everybody looks. Everybody
Right.
turns instead.
Have you ever been to a UFC card?
I went to one. I'm from Lacey, Washington, which is about 60 miles south of Seattle.
Okay.
The UFC's been here a couple times, and I did go once. I didn't have a great time. Part of it is the crowds, and then I'm kind of a people observer, so I spend a lot of time watching people.
Sure.
I listen to comments and everything, and then everyone's an expert at these events. Everyone knows everything about what the fighters should do. Everyone's a corner man, so to speak.
Right, and then the whole crowd starts booing because the fighters aren't doing anything exciting. Oh my god.
Yeah, so it just gets under my skin a little bit. So if I'm like one of those weirdos that if I'm watching an event, I like to be in a room by myself so I can just watch what's going on.
Right.
I have a couple buddies that are kind of MMA nerds like me, and so I could definitely watch fights with them. But outside of that, the I couldn't go to like a Buffalo Wild Wings and stuff like that and watch a fight.
We went to the fight card. I forget the actual number of the pay-per-view.
It was 218. That was
218.
Holloway Aldo too.
Yeah. And
That was a good one.
That was
yeah.
fantastic. Yeah, we're in Detroit, so that came to Little Caesars Arena over here, and we were able to watch Holloway Aldo, Alistair versus Ngannou, which was brutal to watch in person.
Eddie
Did you
versus
catch Alistair's head?
dude.
It almost came to
I
us. It
was
crazy.
I was legit
Fuck,
concerned
man.
for him because I started clapping when he finally got up.
Yes, thank God.
But you're right though, as far as like the fans and that, because we've seen at least, and I'm not exaggerating at all, at least 12 fights in the
Just around
in
us.
the crowd around us
Crazy.
in our own section. I almost had to get into a fight because the people behind us were just like going crazy, and I was trying to be the peaceful, like, okay, haha, like this is cool. But then they're like spilling beer on me, and like
Yeah.
I'm like, fucking A, man, are these guys just trying to like constantly do it? And they spill more beer on me, like fuck, like this is just, it almost made the event uncomfortable for a little bit there.
100%. Yeah, man.
But I snuck a little weed pen in, and I was like, hey, you take a hit of
You're
this.
good, man. That's all you need.
Take a hit of this, bro, and then we were all best friends. And then we could actually enjoy the fight. But it definitely was like, I felt like I was on guard there for a little bit of it.
Oh,
And
100%. Yeah, man.
you're supposed to be watching something entertaining.
Just enjoying yourself.
Right. So it definitely,
But-
it brings out the testosterone of people watching other guys fight for sure.
Well, they also serve them alcohol. And alcohol is
Yeah,
the number
yeah.
one, right? So naturally, you got a bunch of men in there, mostly young men, 18 to 35. They're jacked up, they're drunk, and everyone's a badass. Like I remember the days where everyone wore Affliction shirts and Tap Out shirts, and so it was really difficult to tell who really was a badass and who wasn't. And they're all wired up, and everybody wants to fight, and everyone's trying to prove how manly they are. It's a recipe for disaster every time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
it's definitely a ego thing.
It's like an ego challenge, I think.
Some people are almost like self-conscious with themselves, and they feel like they have to prove that they're the alpha. And like the more they drink and the more that they see other people going crazy, it's like they have to one-up them.
Yeah, drop
And-
30,000 of those all in the same little building. And
Yeah, and then it leads to shit show.
Right. But all right, this has been a very informational episode. Probably one of our most information packed, which is great. But I think we're pretty close to wrapping it up.
Where can,
Awesome. I
where can the
appreciate you
fans
guys
find
having
you?
me
No problem. Where can everybody find you at, Equor?
Same place, man. I started this Instagram like 6 months ago. I just kind of fucking around with it, and then you know how. Well, I guess I'll be quick here.
No, it's fine.
But if you look at Instagram, everybody just posts the same fucking pictures over and over again. It's just a Getty's image of this fighter and a Getty's image of this fighter, and they're gonna fight soon. And it's kind of like a news page for Instagram, right? It's that or memes. And so I was like, man, I don't want to be like everybody else. So I started, where everyone uses Photoshop for like dick pics and memes. I decided, well, I'm gonna put some artistic flair to my page. So then I started making these photo composites for my Instagram, and then I would give MMA news, like my thoughts. And I go, fuck, man, this is not enough space for me. I don't feel like I'm conveying my information well enough under these as a caption under these pictures. So I said, maybe I'll start doing a podcast. So it's mostly me talking to myself. But anybody can reach me at the MMA Reaction at gmail.com, or hit me up on Instagram or Twitter, which I think it's all the same, at _MMA_reaction.
Awesome. And I agree with you completely. There are too many Instagram accounts that are just
reporting the same shit over and over again. If
And over again, yeah, man.
Right, and you definitely put a lot of artistic shit in your Instagram. I was impressed with your Instagram page because that's something that we wanted to do as well. Because I handled the Instagram account for us, and I was like, I don't want to have just our Instagram page just reporting shit and like content that everybody has. I want us to be able to put our own content out there. So I put on like podcast clips or like YouTube clips of a game that we're playing or just shit like that. Every once in a while I'll throw in like some of the latest news and put my thoughts on it, just like see what other people think in the comments and that. But I definitely agree with you. We're both on the right track as far as putting our own content on Instagram, building a platform opposed to just doing what everybody else is doing and trying to get the most views initially from like a highlight video of a fight or something like that.
100%, and I appreciate that too. I appreciate the recognition.
Yeah, for sure. We really like the sound of your podcast, the way you present yourself, and hopefully we can maybe have you on a future episode.
Yeah,
be a bigger card.
Sure, man. Let's make it a thing. Anytime you guys want me to chime in, just let me know and I'll be there.
For sure. So I think that'll be all from us here at Passive and Aggressive. We are joined here again by Coy of the MMA Reaction. You can find both of us on iTunes. We are definitely on Spotify, SoundCloud, probably a ton of other shit. I don't even know anymore.
Literally any of your RSS feeds, you'll find it.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So that'll be it from us.
All right, take care, fucks.
Peace out, guys.